And we're live.
Hey, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the Fun Speculation Network. Your home for breaking ABK news through at least 2024 now. So just buckle in, set those alarms for all the shows now through 2024 because we're going to be covering all the ABK stuff for a long time, folks. Hey, welcome. It's PM in the PM. I know that's not what you all wanted to hear. We didn't want to hear it either, even though we are fascinated by it, even though it is interesting as hell. It's not what we want to hear, but it is Pong and Mav in the PM on a Thursday. That's right, April the 27th. We did think we were going to have a different tone for the show heading into this week, obviously, but we're still going to have a great time tonight. We're going to get to the big topic, the elephant in the room, the one that's been, obviously now a meteorite struck Twitter. So we're going to talk about that, but we do have a lot of actual gaming news as well. Tidbits, as Mav likes to call them, and the crew likes to call them on FSP. We do have a lot of that, a lot of cool stuff actually happening with games. And Mav and I, you know us, we're gonna talk about big topics, but we're gonna touch on the little stuff, and we're gonna get into some of the excitement we have for some of the stuff we've been seeing as well. So thank you all for joining us for another episode of PM in the PM. And got to get to my co-host, the man who owns Fun Speculation Network, the man who just realized he's going to have solid engagement for at least the next year and a half with ABK still around. Just joking, obviously. But the man who started all of this along with his beautiful wife, Caitlin, the one, the only Fun Speculation, aka Mav brother. Besides the news stuff and real life and all that nonsense, what you been up to this week, man? How's everything been?
I just staying busy. Been playing some more games and stuff as usual. Again, like I've said for numerous weeks in a row now, still stuck on the show. Addicted.
Just ask you, how many World Series have you won?
I'm playing.
I know you're doing the other.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of Diamond Dynasty, although I did start a franchise, like a created franchise. And I'm having fun with that too. God, the game's so good, man. This is I'm a big sports gamer. I always have been, but like I kind of since I started the channel, I'd kind of like taken almost a step back away from that part of my life because COVID messed with all the sports and stuff for a while, and it kind of like it just lost interest. I got focused on a lot of other things and stuff, and playing a lot of other stuff too, which I always have played pretty much everything. But it's kind of like I've been coming home back to some of my sports games this year. Earlier this year or last year is a lot of NBA, and now MLB The Show. And I got to give them credit for one thing. The Diamond Dynasty mode, which is like their version of My Team or Ultimate Team and all that kind of stuff. This is the most I've ever played of that mode in the show. And it is so easy to build a crazy. My team is full of 97s and 99s. And I haven't
people talk about that.
I haven't spent a dime. It's awesome. So easy to get great players, and there's all these different programs they have and stuff, and they're constantly adding new stuff every week, and that's part of why I've been so hooked on it. So if you are interested in like those card collecting type of modes, I have to say the easiest entry point into one of those game modes to actually feel rewarded and be able to compete without feeling like you got to spend any money is Diamond Dynasty in the show, especially this year. So I super appreciate that about what they did. Also, online has less latency than any baseball game I've ever played.
Nice.
So there's that as well. So I don't know if they cracked the code on that in recent years. I didn't play online last year, really, so I can't speak to last year's game. But this year I've been able to play without hardly any adjustment on swing timing and stuff like that on online games and stuff. So those are a lot of the reasons I've been hooked on the show. Plus, it's something you can easily kind of pick up and play for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They have like these 3-inning games and stuff you can play that I've been grinding out a lot of that stuff. I've just been having a blast with it. Besides that, I did dive back into some Jedi Fallen Order. Got finally past the part that I had been stuck on for a long time.
Nice.
And the game that had been broken at that point is now fixed. So I'm happy about that. I was experimenting between the quality and performance modes to see how big of a
Mhm.
difference that made on that game as well. It's so night and day. So night
Oh
and
yeah.
day. It's like
Oh yeah.
crazy, dude. It's so smooth at 60. But I know we'll talk about Jedi Survivor coming up
Yes,
here.
we will.
And then besides that, I did buy Jedi Survivor, so I have it. I'm gonna probably install it.
Nice.
Maybe I'll stream
Congrats.
tonight if all goes well. And I also picked up Dead Island 2, which I haven't had a chance to dive into yet. So I got a great weekend ahead of gaming, man, and I'm
Damn
super happy
FOMO.
about it.
Look at you.
Benedict Fox also came out today on
Yes,
Game Pass,
yes.
which it's another game I'm looking forward to playing. Nobody is talking about this game. There's no reviews up on Metacritic or anything because the review copies were late to all the reviewers, which is crazy for a game that was this anticipated into Game Pass day one. So I just put out on Twitter asking, and Ains and Indie Gamer both responded to me.
Mhm.
And they clarified, yeah, they got the codes late, and Indy said it's supposed to be because of like certification of the game or something like that is what took a while. So I was glad that they shared that information.
ACG put out a tweet too. I saw when I got home tonight. He put out a tweet saying that he's playing it now and he'll have his review out later.
Yeah.
But he's absolutely loving it. He said it's everything he expected.
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
Ains is like 2 hours in, he said, and he's having fun with it. And Indie Gamer, I was checking out his stream earlier. He was playing it on stream a little bit, so it looked pretty damn good actually on his stream. Yeah, like Metroidvania style games, I'm a fan, right? One of my favorite 360 games is Shadow Complex.
Mhm.
And it's giving me a little bit of Shadow Complex vibes with the way the levels are laid out, kind of, it looks like.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to diving into all this, man. It's so great to have so many things to play. It's hard to complain about things when you have so many options, but we'll still do some of that here and there.
Of
What you been up to, man? I know it's been a crazy week, right?
Yeah, always.
Wednesday yesterday didn't go exactly how we thought it was going to go. So
No, it didn't. But that's okay. That's okay. Like you said, we've got gaming to do. So I'm hooked on Ghostwire Tokyo. Absolutely love this game. I'm about 30 hours in now, somewhere in that neighborhood. Doing my usual open world exploring, powering up, ignoring the main missions for as long as possible, making sure I'm hitting all the side missions. Again, it's a Ubisoft light. This is old school Ubisoft. So this is before Ubisoft went over the top with their maps. This reminds me of old school Ubisoft, where it still was, a fair amount of markers on your map at all times, but not to the point where you're like, oh my God, where do I start? So collecting spirits, it's got some of that Crackdown because of the verticality to it. I love Crackdown. I loved collecting orbs. This one, you collect spirits. You got to free the spirits, and they're all over the place. They can be on the ground or they can be up on rooftops. And figuring out how to get over the rooftops to collect the spirits as you find them. Again, that's right up my alley. So I'm absolutely loving Ghostwire Tokyo. Been living vicariously through everybody playing Dead Island 2. Looks fantastic. I can't wait to jump into that at some point down the road. And obviously, I'll be living vicariously through everybody playing Jedi Survivor, which we are going to talk about a little bit later. But it's looking great right now. So I've just been mainly focused on that. I did jump back into Shadow Warrior 3, still working on that. I'm getting very close to the end at this point, having a blast with Shadow Warrior 3. What else did I jump into? Jumped into a little bit of Gears Tactics as well. Still rocking on that. Jumped into some Avengers of all things. I've had Avengers downloaded. I actually bought it for $8 because it was on sale because of course it's going away in September. But I actually enjoy the campaign of Avengers. So I'm actually playing through Avengers still too. And it's gorgeous. It's still a beautiful game. I thought
it's a well-made game that it seemed like they had to fit the model into but it's still fun to play and graphically and all that kind of stuff is pretty damn cool.
It is. It is pretty damn cool. Loop Hero, still checking on it, rocking on that. Love that little addicting game, just fun as hell. Otherwise, I'm in the mode. I'm waiting May 2nd for Age of Wonders 4. I've got it pre-ordered, pre-installed. I'm ready to rock and roll. I've been watching a ton of dev videos. I've been watching a ton of people have gotten early editions. The devs have sent out early editions to people to try and do videos on and show gameplay. So I've been watching a lot of that, getting strategies down. The dev deep dives on it are absolutely incredible.
Can you explain the style of tactics game that is? Because I've never played one of those games before.
Yeah.
Is it like classical RTS, like a Command and Conquer, or like an Age, or is it like
it's a 4X? It's like Civ. It's more like Civ.
Okay, so you make the decisions and.
It's a 4X strategy game, right? So at first and foremost, it's 4X, okay?
Right.
And then when you go to battle, you can auto battle. Like it'll show you obviously whether or not you're going to have a easy fight or a hard fight, right? If you want to auto battle, you can auto battle, right? And you can just skip through it, get the results. But you can actually go in and play it. And when you go into battle, that's when it turns into tactics base. So you have your squads of monsters or soldiers or whatever you're controlling at that time, and you move them turn-based style, right, to face the enemy. But the overarching is a 4X strategy, like Civ. So you are dealing with politics, deciding whether or not you are going to make friends with people, right? If you're gonna, you got to explore. The land is in obviously fog, so you can't see anything until you actually send out your scouts, just like in RTSs, all that kind of stuff. You can scout out. You'll find treasure. You'll find enemies, you'll find neutral enemies, you'll find potential, big time enemies, depending on how you set up your world, all that stuff. And then that's the main part of the game. So that's what Civ is. You got to take over territories, build out your kingdoms, get more powerful. That's the point of Age of Wonders 4, is to basically you want to become a god at the end, is what it winds up being. You're fallen kind of gods as it is. But Age of Wonders 4, this mainline game, this is the first time it's ever been on console.
Yeah.
So they had Planetfall, which was a spin-off. It's Age of Wonders Planetfall. It was like a sci-fi version of it, spin-off, right? This is their main line, and this is the first time it's coming to console. This is high fantasy, traditional stuff that you kind of expect with all the tropes, but they have expanded the customization. You literally can go create your own race. You can create your own factions. You can stylize them how you want to. You can create your own worlds, how you want the world set up. If you want them hard, if you want them easy, you can dictate a lot in this game as to how you want to play. It's multiplayer too. If you want to play multiplayer, most people that I've seen do it single player. But I watched a dude play the hardest world he could. He's an experienced Age of Wonders player from PC. And he actually created the hardest world possible. Like, I watched it. Like, it was insane. Like, everywhere he went, there was, like, dragons. There was fire giants everywhere. He had the land so that most of the land was volcanic. So when he was on the volcanic ash land, you can't regenerate any hit points. Like, it's crazy. So, but yeah, during the game, Mav, like, once you get your bases, you get your main bases and towns and stuff, you can build, that's when you build your army. So then you can order up units, right? And then you can have those units come and you can actually join the units together. You can split them off. You can have single units. You can have a whole mass of units together in one big army. So you can do a bunch of different things like that.
And this is Paradox?
Yes, this is Paradox, of course. Yes.
Yes.
And the makers, this is the Age of Wonders people, part of that dev team. Actually, the original creator of Stellaris came over to help as well, and he's been in the industry for 40 years, built some, or 30 plus years, and he's built some of the biggest 4X strategy games out there that you've ever heard of. He's touched them or had a hand in them, and he actually made Stellaris, which was a fantastic sci-fi 4X strategy, massive, just so awesome, and it plays well on console as well. He came over to help the Age of Wonders team, and they had a dev diary the other night where he actually played some Age of Wonders 4 too and was talking people through it. So I'm excited, man. I'm so pumped for this game. Really, I wanted to dive into this, just never been able to because it's been on PC only. So I'm looking forward to this. it's funny, man. Like this year with the RTSs and all that stuff, and yeah, we played a lot of, co-op and stuff. But at the same time, it's got my old single player juices back. Like my strategy, my hardcore days, like of sitting down and just wanting to go one-on-one with the AI and really having a think through different things. And Civ, I played Civ. I was playing some Age of Wonders, Planetfall to get used to it again. Really fired those up again. And this year, it's full of it. We got, we got Company of Heroes 3 coming in May as well. We've got all this stuff showing up. We got, Aliens Dark Descent now dropping in June, right? June 20th or whatever it is. Absolutely insane the amount of these types of strategy.
Company Heroes got its date as well. So
yes, May, end of May.
I mean,
and
this generation's so amazing with this stuff,
Yes,
it's crazy, dude. I never honestly thought, we'd see that day this many PC primary franchises are coming to console. Right. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Still needs to be some more, but I can't really complain. Again, no. I'm happy about it. All these games that people said, hey, no reason, don't do it. Hey, they're coming, right? They're coming.
Yeah,
again,
they are.
Keep
and
coming.
I'm going to support these devs. With my budget, like that's why I'm skipping out on Dead Island 2 for right now. That's why I'm skipping out on Jedi Survivor, is because I do still have to worry about my budget. But I'm going to support these strategy games that are coming and these devs that are actually bringing them to our console. I mean, I'm lined up here. I think I'm going to be able to pull it off. I'll be able to get Company Heroes by the end of May. And I will definitely be getting Aliens Dark Descent. Obviously, I've already got Diablo 4, which is going to be gigantic pre-ordered. But I'm going to support these devs that are and these publishers that are actually making the effort to do this, because this is exactly what we asked for, Mav. As of course, we both play everything, but strategy RTS was the one genre that was really missing last generation for us. And so to see it all come back, and these, again, like you said, IP that had never been on console before. We're not just getting some of the classics back. We're getting IP that's never been on console before showing up for the first time. And so I'm definitely supporting these guys. Absolutely love it. I'll get Jedi Survivor either on EA Play or I'll buy it when it goes on sale. And then obviously Dead Island 2 later down the road. So, but I'm excited for everybody who's looking forward to these games, because again, it doesn't matter where you're playing. It doesn't matter what you're interested in. There is a game coming out or already out for you right now. And this is we're not even through the first half of 2023. This year has been insane, and it's about to get even bigger and better. And that's what's so cool to me about all this. So we've talked about that plenty of times. Yeah. We're going to talk about deccaddo. We're going to talk about Armored Core too. Yeah, we got the Armored Core gameplay trailer today. Like I said, we got a bunch of tidbit style kind of game information today. A lot of kind of news. So we're going to have some fun. I did try out the Street Fighter 6 demo. Did you try it?
I haven't had a chance. I didn't have a chance to yet.
Yeah.
So I need to install it. What'd you think? That's not promising.
Well, again,
what is the demo of? Is it just straight like Ryu versus Ken or something, or is it like?
Yeah, correct. Okay. Yeah. It's 1v1, and they run you through a tutorial. Yada yada yada. Graphics are gorgeous, right? In that style, the graphics are gorgeous. It looks beautiful on the OLED. Me, again, I always gotta give the disclaimer. I'm not a heavy fighter fan. As far as like learning the move, I'm a button masher. I love fighters, but I button mash my way through. Not competitive. Don't play against other people. I play against computer. So I come from that perspective, folks. So just hear me out. I had jumped back into Tekken 7, right? Because I picked it up the full package when it was on sale. After playing Tekken 7, even though it looks horrible, right? I told you all.
It's like it looks like ass.
It looks terrible, right? But after playing Tekken 7 so much recently, going to Street Fighter, it's smooth. Again, it's quick. Everything works the way it's supposed to work. It's just that the punches, the hits just don't have any oomph behind them to me.
Right.
Like after playing Tekken, like I said, I describe Tekken as the heavy fighter, right? It feels like weight, like every move. You feel the weight of the character. You feel the weight of the hits. Street Fighter, light, fast, quick, colorful, cool, awesome. It's just less impactful than what I was hoping for. So I was kind of like, meh, okay. Like I said, Street Fighter 6 interests me from the standpoint of the single player mode, where you're gonna be able to make your own character. They're gonna have that, area, the city where you can run around, and there's gonna be like things to collect and missions, and you can fight random characters on the street and all that kind of stuff. That interests me as far as how I play fighters. So I'm still interested in Street Fighter 6. I wasn't day one on Street Fighter 6 anyways, but after playing the one-on-one, I was like, okay, yeah, I'd rather have Tekken, and this is me. So
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it for sure. Like I'm
Yeah,
I'm
you
a
are.
Street
I
Fighter
know.
fan.
You're a Street Fighter fan.
I'm looking forward to Tekken as well. Great year for fighters, especially once Mortal Kombat 12 gets officially announced as well for this year, which that was in their earnings call that a couple months back that's happening.
Yep.
So this year just gets better and better. I need to boot up that demo though. Got a lot of things I need to install, so I got to clear some space.
Yep. Like I said, I'm out. My external went kaput. Now I'm dealing with my internal, and you got something like Avengers, 150 gigs, Call of Duty, 100 whatever, 50 gigs. That's 300 gigs right there. I'm like, oh,
Jedi Survivor is like 140 or something like that.
Jedi Survivor is 140. Yeah. And to answer your question, deccaddo, I don't know if you just hopped in. You might have just hopped in. Mav and I both just talked about it. Mav did go pick up Jedi Survivor. He may be playing it on stream later. So he did pick it up. I am waiting on Jedi Survivor because I pre-ordered Age of Wonders 4. Actually ordered the premium edition with the first round of 4 DLCs. So I picked that up. So I'm waiting for that on May 2nd. So I'll be picking up Jedi Survivor down the road. But obviously I'll be looking for all those screenshots and be watching Mav stream it and all that kind of stuff because it does look gorgeous.
Yeah. It launches at 11 my time tonight, I think.
Yeah.
That's 12 Eastern. Is it? I think it's a global. That's got to be a global launch then.
It's a global launch. I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Yeah, I need to do a launch stream tonight.
Yeah, you do.
After this show, I'm gonna get it installed, everybody. So be prepared. I'll probably have a Jedi Survivor launch stream. That sounds like fun.
Might as well. Yeah, I talked about Cal. Cal isn't the greatest character to me. I know he is to a lot of people. He's just not. Yeah, it bored me.
The thing is, I'm gonna go ahead and say like so this game, this game, like something about these last few trailers is what really sold it for me. Sure, like the production value on it, and like the story and all that kind of stuff. And like the only thing that I'm not as crazy about with the Jedi Survivor Jedi games is the fact that they're kind of like Souls-like style, right?
Correct, they are.
But if there's a game like Wolong did it well for me, right? And I think Wolong has helped my decision actually to go ahead and pick this up. Sure. And when I was diving back into Jedi Fallen Order, I was like, oh yeah, this is solid. I'm having more fun with it now and stuff. And I'm looking forward to diving in. I think this one might be one that gets its hooks in me. We'll see. There hasn't been a story-based game, honestly, that's had its hooks in me for a while.
Yeah, which is crazy because I thought for sure Harry Potter was going to grab you.
Yeah, it's kind of slow. It is
well, I understand, but the characters are so dumb.
Yeah, no, I know they are. And sometimes those games like I dive back into and then I get hooked. Red Dead Redemption 2's honestly the last one that was like a big new release that I just like couldn't stop playing for the story.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Now, Resident Evil Village I really liked as well, but that's still a little light on story. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a solid game, but yeah, I've been so much more into multiplayer stuff and grindy things. You know what I mean?
That's where I'm at. And
it's gonna get gum for your brain. You know,
it's gonna get real grindy.
It is.
We'll
I know.
Talk about that. It's gonna be insane. Yeah, no, I think Jedi Survivor. I hope it is for you. I guess I'm easier. I fall in love with stories easier depending on characters, and it doesn't take much for me. Ghostwire Tokyo's got me enraptured. The story, and that's like the one thing everybody kind of was like, yeah, it's got an okay story or whatever else. I'm absolutely freaking loving the story. So for me, it's just like weird like that. I do fall into games like that. Jedi. I never finished Fallen Order. I've gone back and replayed it or started playing it again. Got further than I did the first time around, which was great. I did drop the difficulty level down. I was at the second to hardest level because it's Star Wars and I want to be like, hey, I'm going to be a Jedi. But then I jumped back into it and was like, I'm not doing this because, like you said, it is too Souls-likey in a lot of ways. The parrying aspect, it just bothers me.
Yeah.
So I dropped it down and I got farther than I did before, but Cal just doesn't grab me. And Steele and I talked about this, and this might be, again, this is a me thing, everybody, so I'm not ripping on the game, obviously. Zampella and Respawn have done a freaking fantastic job. Again, I understand when the majority likes something. Generally speaking, sure, there's sometimes where everybody just likes it just to like it because everybody else is. But generally speaking, in video games, when everybody kind of agrees that a game is great, there's a reason for it. And I'm not that guy that goes, well, I didn't like it, so fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Nah, I get why. But I might be that old guy again. I have my issues with where the Star Wars franchise has gone. I've had, a little bit of shine of Star Wars taken off for me as the years have gone by. But I also think, and Steele and I talked about this, that playing with Star Killer in The Force Unleashed kind of ruined me when it comes to Star Wars games. If you're not presenting Force powers in the way that they did in Force Unleashed, if my character feels less than Star Killer, and yes, I know it's unfair because Star Killer was OP and he broke rules of Force use and everything. But playing that game and then playing something like Fallen Order, I just didn't like the combat as much as I thought I would. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel powerful. I wanted to feel Cal growing. I mean, he's already somewhat of a powerful Jedi when they first introduced him in Fallen Order, even though he's been untrained, even though he's hidden. You can tell that he's used his powers before, but I want to feel that progression. And I really didn't feel that progression as I was going through Fallen Order, whereas Force Unleashed was like, here you go. You're not going to get the full boat, but from the jump, you are going to be ridiculously powerful and you're going to do ridiculous things. And I think that that's kind of the over dramatized Star Wars that I kind of wanted, at least combat wise and force use wise. And I just don't find that in Fallen Order.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if they're going to get closer to that towards the end of Survivor,
maybe,
like more of a build up,
maybe. Maybe. I'd love to see something like that happen again. And I know people are calling now for, obviously I forget the actor's name that plays Cal because he does a great job. I'm not going to take away from his acting. I just found the character semi boring. To be in live action, to be a part of the Star Wars universe, which I totally see. I can't believe they haven't done it yet because he is a great actor. I would like to see them delve into Star Killer. I know it's already been killed off. It's canon. It's the old canon, which was killed by Disney. But a character like Star Killer, I think, is what I'm looking for. Like I want that dark side stuff.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm not gonna go down my Star Wars wish list. It's long and it's boring and it's old guy and it's nostalgia. It is what it is. Star Wars, hey, it's owned by Disney. They're doing their thing. So whatever.
Since we're already on the subject of Jedi Survivor, do you want to touch on the little bit of the controversy that's out today about it, though?
Sure. We can consider this bad news, so we can start out this way. That's right. No, not really. It's getting great reviews, obviously. Rave reviews. I just checked it. It's still at an 86 on OpenCritic, which is what I use. I know some people still like Metacritic. I go by OpenCritic because it puts everything together, right? So it's PC, it's Xbox, it's PlayStation, so you don't have that.
Yeah.
Oh, over on Xbox, it got 12 reviews. On PlayStation, it got 80 reviews. Like, it just puts everything together. So it was an 86 on OpenCritic, which is fantastic. 92 total reviews, which is saying a lot. We've heard all the good stuff, Mav. I'm sure you've heard the good stuff. Everybody's been raving about the story. Everybody's been saying, hey, they just took Fallen Order and did exactly what you want from a sequel. And we talk about this all the time, Mav. Some people try to change the wheel once they've invented a great thing and it doesn't work out in the sequel. Last of Us. Anyways, what you do is you just take everything you learned from the first one and you build upon that and expand upon it. And that's what everybody says has happened here. Zampella and his team have pulled that off. However, we are now back into another discussion again. We have one of these games, and we've seen this. This isn't the first time. This won't be the last time.
Not the first time with EA either.
Nope, not the first time with EA, but this is where we're at in the digital age, folks. And Mav and I have had this specific conversation on this show. You've heard it everywhere talked about. Most people who have these types of discussions have talked about this one time or another. Patches have become a crutch in a lot of ways in this industry. We're past the point of saying stop it because that ended 360 PS3 generation. Yeah. It's progressively, it seems at times, being used more and more often in certain situations. And then on top of that, we now have reviewers who, for some games, when they are told, and they were told, it's been confirmed, EA, Respawn, when they gave out these preview copies, they told the reviewers, hey, they actually gave them a list. Here's a list of all the known issues that you are going to experience in this game. We have a day zero patch on launch, which will fix a large majority of these. Mm-hmm. So just so you know. So they gave them this list, said, yep, this is what your expectations are. And these reviewers played through the game, and we still have 10s being given. We still have high 9s being given, obviously, ignoring the fact that there are obvious problems. It's across the board. It's not one platform. It's across all modes. It's not one mode. So this is a big issue. And these reviewers are judging this game, which is their right. Again, it's just an opinion, whatever. But the bigger question is it a disservice to the masses who don't pay attention to this stuff, who don't look at the news like we do? Mav, when you see this happening, and you could talk about either one. Now, again, we don't know for sure whether or not the day zero patch is going to fix everything. We don't know. Greg Miller played through a little bit of it after he got the patch, and he said the few bugs that he had were gone, but he obviously didn't know throughout the rest of the game if everything else was fixed or whatever the case may be. Again, that's one.
Yeah, and I think they said there's like multiple patches still coming as well, right? So that's one of the things.
EA put out a tweet today that they've got weeks of patches planned.
Yeah.
Is this okay, Mav? That we're not, again, we're too far gone. We're not going to stop this. But is it okay that we're now using patches like, oh, hey, we know all these problems, but we're just going to patch at day zero. Trust us, review, and give it the score as if those things didn't exist when we don't know for sure. What do you think?
It's a tough question, honestly, because in my mind, with these big games that have so much ambition, I anticipate day one patches at this point, right?
Sure.
And it's just par for the course. Yep. Now, sometimes they're not accounted for with reviews, right? And maybe it's because sometimes the reviewers don't know they're going to be coming or not. I don't know. But I'm trying to remember the game specifically. But there was a game that released, I think it was last year or maybe even the year before, that got killed with the reviews because of performance issues and bugs. But there was a day one patch, and we had like a great experience. Didn't have any of these issues, yet all the reviews that were out, right? And the reviewers don't go back and re-review the game.
Nope.
Right? So a lot of the scores were impacted in this game. God, I wish I could remember what it was specifically. But it was notable to me at the time because the consistent thing you saw in all the reviews and why they knocked the score was the bugs and the performance issues, right? So they ended up getting in like the 70s or something like that, right? When it came out, it could have been like, it was like an 80. It should have been probably like an 80 or even potentially almost a 90.
Wasn't this a Game Pass exclusive one?
I think so.
Yes.
And this was like an Xbox thing, and this is
why
it
was an Xbox thing. Yes.
And I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Forza. It wasn't like a first party. I don't
know.
No, but it was
one of the third party ones.
It's a big game, and I can't remember exactly what it was. And for the life of me, it's fucking killing me right now because
chat will remember. Somebody in chat will remember. This was last year, wasn't it, Matt?
Well, I know Plague Tale Requiem didn't have the performance mode yet either, right?
Right.
At launch. Before launch, and then they had the patch. I think that came out the day of the game release. I'm not 100% on that.
High on Life. I don't think High on Life got killed because
High on Life was one of them. Yes, High on Life got killed.
Okay, that's right, because it had the stuttering, right? Because
it had a lot of shit that was spread all over the internet. There was videos of it even and stuff like that. And then the day one update was out, and it was fucking like smooth as shit, right? It was smooth as shit. It was smooth as butter. Maybe that was High on Life.
No, there was one earlier than that.
But it's been a repeated thing, to my point,
yes,
right?
It has been. Yes, correct.
So when you see this, like, it's in a way like it's frustrating because we don't know yet how the game's going to play. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to see, and I'll stream it, and we'll see how it performs, right? But I would like all the games to be treated on that same scale and with that same level of trust or respect if you're going to have that. And if not, then you got to wait to do the reviews, right? Which isn't fair to ask the reviewers because like there's a game like today, like Last Case of Benedict Fox that came out. That was a highly anticipated Game Pass game day one that doesn't have any reviews because everybody was late to get their codes, right? So and a lot of them are like not even reviewing it at this point because there's many other things they have to do because there's too many games coming out, big games and stuff. Yep. So it's a tough situation. It's like, well, do you get your review copies out there, or do you go ahead and anticipate the negative feedback or reviews or performance, or do you hope that the reviewers take into account your patch notes? I will say if you do have a planned day one patch, make sure you do it like EA does and be transparent about everybody with your known issues and stuff like that. Maybe that's why they got the benefit of the doubt here. And maybe other developers in the past have failed to do that. However, it doesn't lead any kind of confidence or anything with reviews to me. And that's the issue, right? Because I don't know what to expect still. This game, it's got 86s on meta or whatever. It's 86 on meta. And we'll just have to hope that, yeah, they were telling the truth. But we see people like, was a Skill Up and ACG and other people be like, yeah, its performance is horrible and crashes and bugs and all these things, right? So I guess we'll just have to see, and then hopefully we have faith in EA, but they burned us before in the past too. So it is a tricky thing, man, and I don't know if there's a direct answer to it, because we don't really do like review type stuff really here a lot, and I'm not one to push for codes and all that kind of stuff, but I understand the situation that reviewers are in, right? Well, but also reviewing the games is also to the benefit of those sites and channels, right? So they have a choice for their benefit whether to do it or not as well, right? So regardless of, yes, but it's still, they're reviewing for content, right? So with all respect to people that are doing that, I respect them greatly. But it's a choice when they review a game still, whether their review that's editorial based, let's say it's a in written form, is going to get lots of clicks. They can't be late on it, right? If they're late, then they're not going to get the review. They're not going to get the clicks, right? If it's a video, if they're late on it, they're not going to get as many clicks. And that's one of the reasons they're doing the content is for their channels and for the success of their brand and everything they're trying to do. So I understand the situation they're in, but then I also understand the situation the publishers are in, and they have these games and they're trying to get it out, and the games sometimes go gold for a while beforehand. I guess the best solution would be to delay the game until it's ready to go. But at that time, if it's only for the sake of reviews, if you're going to hit that day one patch and it's going to fix the issues, do we want to delay in that case either? I don't. Right. It's a hard thing to answer. And I don't know if there is an answer, because really the only issue is the credibility of reviews.
Right.
If the game launches fine, right? And is the credibility of reviews a huge industry problem that we should really care about? Or should we mainly care about the games? I don't, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just posing the question,
Right. No, I know you're posing the question. And obviously, like we always say, again, for us, it's reviews or opinions. We know this. We don't listen to them most of the time, or we have one or two people that we trust if we do go look for a review that we follow. But for the masses that go to the IGNs, that go to the big websites, there's still lots of people out there who are on a budget like me who still might do it the old way, where they wait for a game to launch, read reviews, and then decide whether or not they're going to spend their hard-earned cash on that game or wait for another one. There's still lots of different situations. And again, this is industry. There's no easy answer, like you said, man. I'm not saying that there's an easy answer.
Yeah.
Again, the easy answer would have been to tell devs, you can't patch a game. You got to get it fixed before we drop it, right? So, but that's not going to happen, right? We're in the digital age.
Mm-hmm.
This is now a part of everything that we do. It's a double-edged sword. It's great because a broken game can be fixed. And it's also the bad side is that now devs and publishers push games out that aren't ready, knowing that they can fix it. So it's a double-edged sword here, and we've seen both sides of it. But when it comes to reviewers specifically, it would have to be an industry-wide decision to say, we're not giving out review codes early anymore. We will give them out day one, and we will accept the fact that those reviews will come out after the game has already launched. But that's not going to happen because from a publisher and developer standpoint, you want those early reviews out in most cases because that's free marketing. That gets hype for your game. That leads up to the launch, right? You might be still getting more pre-orders because all of a sudden reviews come out and are great. So that is never going to happen because there's too much money at stake. And like you said, for the reviewers themselves, that's a big industry now. It's highly competitive. Anybody with a keyboard can now review games and can become big. Like it's not like it's not some little industry anymore that's dominated. Sure, we still all know IGN still gets the most clicks every month and all that kind of stuff, but it's not dominated by a few magazines and a couple websites anymore. It's everywhere. You can find reviews any place. Like go to YouTube and type in game review and you're going to have a million different videos pop up, right?
Yeah.
So from that aspect, you can't ask the reviewers to do something different or to withhold their reviews because not everybody's going to follow that. And the reviewers that get that review out early are going to be the ones that get the most clicks. And then after that, nobody's going to care to go check the other people's reviews.
Exactly. 100%.
Right. So it's a no-win situation for everybody. I wish the industry would standardize some things. I've asked for this before with reviews, that somebody would come up with an official standardization that everybody kind of followed so that reviews would be consistent. Even though there's still going to be opinions, we would have a consistent so that when we went to, no matter who we went to, we knew what the basis was for that review. Whereas now, if you don't know who it is, if you haven't been reading that person's reviews, if you don't know what type of games they like, if you don't know how they play games, you don't know what perspective they're coming from when they reviewed that game. But again, if we're not going to do that, then we're in this situation where this is going to continue to happen because, patches are now a part of our daily life.
I don't mind patches. I gotta say,
don't mind them either.
Like these games, like we get patches for years on games. You know what I mean? Like a game comes out in 2023, we get updates in 2025 still a lot of times. And it's like, I'm like, oh, we're not complaining. Well, damn it, they should have had that like 3 years ago. Sometimes they find issues after the game's launched and then they fix those and address them or optimize performance or whatever. There seems to be a trend though of games that are not fully optimized for this generation of consoles. That's exactly. I mean, they literally had to with Redfall. I saw a picture that Jez tweeted today. They had to put a sticker on the box because
the boxes had it.
The boxes say 60 frames, so they had to put a little white sticker on the box saying that the 60 frames are not there at launch. It is embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like, whether we have to get these little cheap ass stickers and put on the box to fix our
coming
so
soon,
we don't get
patch.
sued or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you do because it's false advertising if you just put it out there the way it is.
Right. So it's interesting, and this is a reoccurring issue, right? It's not just Jedi Survivor or these games. So it's a thing that's going to continue, but it does seem like more and more of these games this past year and a half or so have
This
come
year,
out
this year,
like
too.
a little unoptimized. You have your exceptions, right? Then
Right.
we're like, wow, this is super polished. I mean, I'll
Harry
say,
Potter from the beginning,
yeah,
flat out.
but I mean, even that still had bugs, right? But people were
very
forgiving.
few.
Yeah, for sure.
Very few. Like and for a big open world game, that was a polished game. So,
and this is something we're gonna have for the digital age of gaming for forever. These games are getting bigger and bigger and all that stuff. It's unreasonable to think everything is just gonna be, hey, you're just gonna have it and you're gonna put everything on a disc and ship it out, and we're gonna put it in, and that's all you get, and it's gonna be done forever. Those days, we left those like 10 years ago, right?
Again, I don't want those days. That's how we got ET filled landfill. Okay,
like,
that killed Atari. That's how that happened.
That's also stifling ambition and growth of gaming.
Correct.
Right? Like
Absolutely.
with technology, it's just way beyond that these days, right? So, like, it's part of the acceptance now. Also, like, could they delay games more than they do at times?
Yes,
probably so. To prevent these issues, but the issue, like with Jedi Survivor, is there's questions on our experience that we're going to have at when the game launches officially tonight.
Right.
And there's reports that are saying one thing. EA is saying, don't worry. Right.
right.
But then the reviews are acting like it's a given.
Yeah.
You know, so where in other games get penalized for it and still come out with the day one patch. You know what I mean? So like, there's no universal like solution to this problem, and it's going to affect some games negatively, and some games are going to get the pass. Yeah, it looks like Jedi Survivor is getting a pass.
Yeah,
a game like High on Life or other games didn't get a pass.
They don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Right,
it's gone. I don't mean to be pessimistic, but if EA is telling you trust us,
yeah.
you may not want to, but we will see. I just think it goes to, we do have, let's take it this route. We do have light at the end of the tunnel a little bit. I think that there is the potential, and we will find out more. We're going to find out more pretty quickly. And when I mean quickly, I'm going to say next 2 to 5 years, we will start seeing some massive progress with AI, man.
Yeah, they're going to help.
AI could resolve a lot of this. AI, if it's implemented properly, if they can figure it out, and they've got some of the smartest engineers on it, we know Microsoft is heavily involved in AI now. And that is going to go across the board, including to their gaming divisions. They've already talked about it. So if they can get AI and their engineers can get that implemented properly to run through the game like a game tester, and yes, I know that gets into the whole game testers could lose jobs, all that kind of stuff. AI is here to stay. It's going to get ugly for a lot of us. I can see my job going away down the road at some point with AI. So I understand completely. But what I'm going to say is, just from a technical aspect, AI can potentially run through a million different scenarios in a matter of an hour, as if a million different game testers are playing the game, right? It's potential that it could find bugs that that the devs and publishers don't see until it gets out to the masses, that we see affecting a lot of games. It also could potentially, as a code writing helper, which we've already seen, it's able to do code, is able to learn code. We've seen some incredible things already from AI, that it's going to be able to run through the code and let the devs know, hey, might be a problem here. We might have an issue here in this scenario, and during multiplayer, if this is happening, we might have this glitch go because of this line of code here. And I know it's not always that simple, so don't get me wrong. I'm simplifying it just for the sake of conversation. AI definitely could help this, and we might see less and less problems with games down the road because of AI helping the developers make sure that everything is running smoothly. So that is a definite bright spot. And the other thing, I've preached this before, and this is a perfect time to preach it again. If you can get rid of your FOMO, if you can get rid of it, if you don't have to be a part of the conversation day one, you're going to get that game cheaper, and you're going to have a better experience in a lot of cases down the road.
Do they offer prescriptions for FOMO?
No, not yet, but I'm sure we can probably find a pharmaceutical company who will be willing to diagnose that as an actual mental issue and produce a pill for it.
Yeah. I need to speak
which
to my
will,
doctor.
yes, I'm sure that will probably
Yeah.
happen at some point. Do you have FOMO?
I
We've
do.
got a pill for you.
Yeah, I have
Yes.
strong FOMO, and
Yeah.
I feel like one day I will be watching a commercial and see a commercial of like gamers all just like like they're watching other people play games on Twitch and stuff like that. Like I gotta get it. You're like, do you have FOMO? Here's the pill. May cause stomach ulcers or death. But you will no longer want to play these games.
Yes.
Day one.
And I've got rid of mine, 95%. Again, I would never wait on Starfield, even though I know Starfield. And that's the other thing too, Mav, as the games get bigger, it's like you could polish some games forever. Like you could polish a Bethesda open world game forever. Like you could to delay it and say, oh, we'll just wait until it's
completely finished with no future updates ever.
Right,
yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
That ain't gonna happen. So no, there are still games that I would never wait on that I have FOMO for. But for the most part, I have gotten rid of it. That's why I don't have to get Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't get Dead Island 2, right? So
See, I did
it
wait
does
on
work.
Dead Island 2, but like it was everybody's
Yes.
like, wow, this is great. It's playing excellent, all that stuff. So like I don't feel like there's a lot of reason to wait on Dead Island except, the price. It would have been nice to have it cheaper, but like it is what it is. I got the nice 10% discount on Jedi Survivor for being a Game Pass member,
which is awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
EA Play. Thanks to EA Play being a part of Game Pass Ultimate, you do get that discount, so you don't pay $70, which is very nice. Very nice.
And I gotta say, some games do launch really polished. Like even that Diablo beta was excellent. It's gonna have bugs. It's gonna have updates. It's gonna have patches. But that was super smooth, optimized experience. Exomecha was another beta that was super smooth experience as well. So there's games that we've already played in beta phase that don't even have a lot of these optimization issues that we're seeing with new games still coming out. We have a couple super chats to get to. Hong Soul.
I was gonna say 3-bit 2, by the way, just confirmed that they're using AI at his job. So I don't know which job that is.
Yeah, he's got like 1,000 jobs.
Yeah, he wears a million different hats, folks. But
yeah.
I'm assuming since we're having that conversation, it might be around the dev field. So again, as I was saying, I expect 2 to 5 years, if not sooner, that we will see some real big results from AI. So can't wait.
Alvin hit us with a $10 super chat. Said last FSP after Microsoft report, I said the showcase had to be Sony 2016 level. And got some pushback. How we feeling now? Balls to the wall. Hit the like, hit the like for the legendary duo, PM and the PM. I appreciate you, Alvin. Thanks for watching. Also,
and here, Alvin, you're never gonna get pushback from me and Mav about going all out, balls to the wall.
Yeah.
With anything, because again, if Mav and I were running the show, we'd release all the information. Again, we'd be screen leaking our own games. So that's how Mav and I would roll, because we'd want everybody to be excited. So yeah, you won't get any arguments here.
And Jasper hit us with his channel membership message. He was saying Jasper. It's 150 gigabytes for Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
And he said it's 3 a.m. my time.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I saw on the storefront where like it said, in the actual Xbox store last night when I bought it, it said 11 p.m.
Wonder if
so I don't know.
Works.
Maybe, I don't know. It said 11 p.m. on the thing
then
though.
Maybe Jasper's finally wrong about something.
I don't know. It said it on the Xbox store when I bought the game yesterday. It said it said April 27th, 11 p.m.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means, but yeah, I don't know. And then 3-bit said that we are his gym music. I guess he's at the gym getting sweaty right now. 3-bit.
I thought you said Gem. I'm like the band Gem, like the cartoon Gem.
So Jasper says, it's 11 our time, but he says because I have to download it, it'll be 3 a.m.
Okay. That's why he was giving you the game.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it'll be once PM and the PM's done. If I'm start running long, I'll go ahead and kickstart the install.
Yeah. No doubt. All right, let me we got to do a sponsor too, right, man? We're gonna hop through.
Oh
everything really
yes,
quick.
yeah.
We do. And I got to do shout outs. So, you ready for sponsor?
I'm reading Vic's message. I don't know. It says, Mav, the guy in my corner never have FOMO, but he really into crack.
we selling FOMO like a drug now too. So if there's a drug to prevent FOMO, maybe we can put FOMO in a pill if you really want FOMO. Ooh, no, thank you, Vic. It's all you. That's hilarious.
Right on.
You want me to shout out some people? You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and do that, and I'll get the.
Okay.
I'll get the.
Awesome. So, chat, you all amazing, absolutely fantastic, stellar gamers showing up here on a Thursday night. You know, I got Soul is in the house. Talos Re is dropping on in here. Froggy T White, what's going on? Frizzle, what up? What's going down? Calarie. What's going down, Calarie? Great to see you in here. Of course, Lore Master Jasper, the aforementioned one, is in the house as well. We got Cullen Prime is in the house as well, saying hi. What's going on, Cullen? Vik The CLiCK, again, aforementioned Vik The CLiCK, the one and only here. Nate Dogg is in the house. What's going on, Nate? Great to see you in here. OCD Gamer, of course, is dropping on in and saying hi. We got the Beer Baron, as always, dropping on in, bringing those extra kegs for everybody to share. We got Big Papimo Fongo. If I butchered that, I apologize, but Big Papimo Fongo is in the house. AI on OnlyFans. That is already happening, my friend. Sanchez, MTZ Gaming, what is going on? Great to have you a part of our show. Carl Andrews Jr. making us hungry as always. Great to have you in here, Carl. We got Don Sicario is in the house. What's going on, Don? We got General Spartan 27. We got the one and only Nix. Says Mav's middle name is FOMO. Yep, that's pretty true, sir.
It's saying we need some FOMO merch.
Yeah, we need some FOMO merch. That'd be awesome. 3-Bit is in the house, as we already talked about. Great to see you, brother. I hope you're having a great time at the gym. We got Deccaddo in the house. We got Big Mad Mo is here. What's going on, Big Mad? Always great to see you, brother. Thanks for dropping on in. Who else we got in? We got Punty050. What's going on, Punty? We got the Soul Khan dropping on in saying, sup? What's going on, Soul Khan? Great to see you in here. We got Topaz Girl 170. Great to have you in the show, my friend. AJH is here as always. What's going on, AJH? We got Sappho in the house. Great to see you as well, Sappho. Charlie Hustle is in here. Hustle in the chat. What's going down, Charlie? Who else we got in here? We got Jago6. Jago6 is in here. We got Caramel. What's going on, Caramel? Great to have you a part of the show. What else? Who else we got? We got Snooky Jackson in the house. What's going on, Snooky? Great to have you dropping in here saying hi. We got Plushy DX. We got Plushies DX. What's going on, Plushies? Great to have you in here. We got the one, the only Phasma dropping on in here as well, saying hi. What's going on, Phasma? You got to change your name on YouTube, Phasma, if you want us to call you something. Just letting you know. Just letting you know, girl. Just letting you know, but it's great to see you as always.
What's the new name now? Pay. Let us know, Phasma. I'll do my best. What was it last time that she changed it? It was
Saffron.
Saffron. I remember it was a seasoning.
Saffron.
Yeah,
Saffron. Yeah. Ghost Fixters in the house. RSJ fan. Great to have you in here, my friend. Andrew Reeves. Yo, what is going on, Andrew? Oh, of course. We got the one, the only brother, Psychonauts. And yes, they confirmed it is Prey. So, Prey. I got to remember that, but it's hard when I'm reading names, Phasma. I'm sorry. And you know I'm sorry because I mean it.
Yeah.
I really do. Anyways, I think that's everybody in the house that I saw right now. If I miss anybody, again, you know, we see you and we appreciate you. So thank you for all being here, whether you're here live or listening to us in the future. Thank you all, one and all, for being here and joining us. Mav, I believe you do have our sponsor ready at this point. Buzz, get your shave on. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, everybody, the NFL draft is here literally now. And the most exciting prospect is a prospect of being perfectly groomed head to toe with our friends at Manscaped. Manscaped has long had elite downfield play with their Lawnmower 4.0. But in 2023, they have the rookie sensation Beard Hedger to ensure the face of your franchise is a pretty one. This 1-2 punch of men's grooming is the best acquisition for any at-home GM, as long as it doesn't get blocked by the CMA. So go to manscaped.com and save some salary cap with our code FUNSPECULATION for 20% off plus free shipping. Again, yes, that's 20% off with our code FUNSPECULATION at manscaped.com with free shipping as well. Go from Mr. Irrelevant to a first-round pick with Manscaped. Let's go.
I got to use mine. I didn't get a chance to this morning. The Beard Hedger is simply fantastic. Their whole line, nose trimmer, below the waist trimmer, it's all fantastic. The lawnmower, it's all fantastic product. But seriously, there's one that you're going to buy. If you're looking at everything and saying, you know what I'm going to use the most, unless you're somebody who grows out their beard all the time and you never trim it, you never shave it, the Beard Hedger has got to be the greatest thing that I've ever used on my face. So it truly is. I've been straight razor guy, tried other electric razors, had the old Norelcos, you name it, it's touched my face. Pause. But the Beard Hedger is the greatest device I have ever used. And if there is one that you're going to buy, get this, use the code FUNSPECULATION, support the show, treat yourself to a fantastic, easy time keeping yourself looking nice and trim. They are great products. Shout out to Manscaped once again for being our sponsor. Huge deal. And this has continued, which is fantastic. I love it that we're still doing it now. So beautiful. All right, everybody. Let's see here. What was I going to jump into? There was something I was going to say. Oh, you know what's funny, Matt? Just 4 years ago, and this is off topic, video games, but you just brought up the NFL draft. 4 years ago, the NFL draft was a holiday for me. I literally took off work. And sit all day and watch pre-show and watch analysis. Like, that's how big in the NFL. It's so weird hearing it now. Like, I know it's happening, and I looked at the news here and there just to kind of keep up to date on some of the top prospects. But I used to be so deep, like I could go 5-6 rounds before I'd start getting the names that I didn't know something about.
I used to be that
now,
way too.
It's like whatever. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I'm more into, like, I did a couple years where like I kind of wasn't as into it, but I'm more into it now. But there was a time when like it would have been more likely for me to have a sports podcast and a gaming podcast because of how
100%
like mentally like into every fucking thing with sports there was, like every
you
player on every team. Oh my god, we just need to let's just get back into it. I'm going to force you to start watching NFL again, Paul. We'll have PM and the PM Sports Edition.
Too much time. Bro, I go and watch people now. It's crazy how much that scene has exploded too. And the amount of viewerships that even small channels get for sports and like wrestling and all that kind of, I think back to sitting around at work and a group of my friends, we all used to be like that with fantasy football, that deep dive, that everyday talk about the NFL players, nonstop. Like what we could have done had we started on YouTube back then. It's insane.
I know.
Because it was
Mr. Calling.
So much fun. We did. Here we are, though, with my favorite hobby, the video games industry. And we did have some freaking huge news happen this week, as you all know. Again, we were expecting to have a totally different type of show. I was on prime time with Boom last night. I actually got to do a Boom show for the first time in months.
Wow,
which
you
was
did?
Fantastic.
I missed it.
Yeah. I did join Boom last night. I had to pick up the kid and drop him off at work, so I was actually home last night. So I hopped on with Boom. Big panel. We had 7 people on last night because Everborn was sick, so we had 7 people on. We had Luke Steele from obviously the UK. He's a attorney over there who deals M&A attorney who actually deals with the CMA. So it was a fantastic show last night, but it was a totally different atmosphere than what we all thought, because the early smoke was all the experts were saying, all the sources were saying the CMA is going to approve the deal. And the articles were already coming out, Mav, on Monday or Tuesday this week of, Microsoft now, the sources are saying Microsoft is going to close over the top of the FTC after the CMA and the EC approved.
They're already, all the articles are moving past it.
Already moving past it. The stock prices were starting to go up for Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we all wake up yesterday morning, bright and early. In fact, we thought it was going to happen even earlier than it did, but they wound up holding off, and we probably should have known by the fact that they held off. But it was still shocking. So we woke up yesterday. We woke up yesterday morning to the news that the CMA had, in fact, blocked the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. You know, what was shocking about it, Mav, is that most of the things that we had heard, we were really confident in. The analysts were confident. The investment groups, again, Warren Buffett's team was investing heavily into Activision Blizzard, thinking that this was going to go through. But they had gotten through they had gotten through a lot of the major, what we thought were major hurdles for the CMA. They had gotten the console portion of this thrown out, the portion that Sony was making all the noise about. And the CMA had come out weeks ago with the EC in tow, stating that no, the console market wasn't a concern anymore. At that point, everybody was like, "Oh, now what are they gonna fight?" And of course, the CMA and the EC both came out and said that the cloud was their concern, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, the cloud, that's no big deal. The cloud is a nascent market. It's not big. We don't know what's going to happen to the cloud. Like, the cloud is in its infancy. Like, there's nothing stating that the cloud might even be hugely successful down the road. Like, nothing." And so everybody got together and was kind of like, well, this is not going to be a problem. And then we saw like a list of competitors that the CMA themselves gave to Microsoft and Xbox, saying, here's the competition within the cloud industry that we're worried about. How are these little guys like Boosteroid going to compete with Microsoft if they do this? So what did Microsoft do? Microsoft went around handing out 10-year contracts like candy, saying, well, we'll bring all the PC Microsoft games to your service. We'll bring as soon as we complete this deal, all the Activision Blizzard titles will come to you. No problem. We'll do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter to us. We're not worried about the cloud here at all. And so then everybody was like, oh, well, now Microsoft is shoring up the cloud. Like, they made deals with Nintendo even. Like, there was nobody they weren't willing to do a deal with. It's people like Sony who refused to do a deal with Microsoft. So again, the assumption was that the CMA saw all this and was like, oh yeah, they're doing exactly what we're asking them to do. We'll get some remedies out of them. And everything will be fine. We'll get this to go through. And they did the complete opposite. And they came out, Mav, and stated, I'll read their direct tweet. And they went back to using emojis again with their tweets, which is great. They had an eyeball emoji on one. They had a cloud on another one. It's cute. It's really great. CMA. CMA's tweet was, "We've prevented." They're so proud of this too, it's weird the language. We've like you stop some big bad Godzilla. Like, we destroyed it. "We prevented Microsoft from purchasing Activision over concerns the deal would damage competition in the cloud gaming market, leading to less innovation and choice for the UK gamers. Look out for a follow-up thread for more details on why we're preventing the merger from taking place." They dropped a over 400-page summary of this, much of which we're not going to talk about any of it. I'm not going to cover it. We're just going to talk about the overview here. I'll let the experts go through 400 pages. There were some interesting remarks in those pages, and if Matt wants to bring some up, he can. But overall, Mav, they came out and said the cloud was a key, that they looked into the future, Mav. They have the crystal ball. We spend a lot of time in speculation town here, Mav, right? We go into our crystal balls all the time. It's sunshine, rainbows, unicorns everywhere. It's a beautiful place. But the CMA went into their crystal ball, went into their speculation town, and it was a dystopian future. It was a post-apocalyptic Blade Runner Fallout mix, right? Nothing left but a wasteland. And there's the tower of Microsoft overall, with the eye of Satya hoarding over the cloud gaming market.
Yeah, I think they think the cloud is the real clouds, and Microsoft's going to be able to control the weather.
Yes, could control the weather. Yeah, probably. And they're like, no, that's our market.
Wait, Microsoft can't own all the clouds?
Yeah, no. We already have that. We put things in the sky. Anyways, that's another conspiracy there.
All right, Kyrie.
But chemtrails. Let's go. Let's see here. So that's what they saw, Matt. And they literally pointed out the fact that Microsoft, with their cloud services, already has something like 60% of the market. And that if they get Activision Blizzard, there's no stopping them. No other competitors are going to be able to come into this space. They literally are saying they are predicting the future. And they know that the cloud gaming market is going to become gigantic and an important position for anybody who wants to enter this industry. Again, we're talking about cloud, folks. We're not talking about subscription services. We're not talking about hardware. We're talking about the cloud, where literally games like Call of Duty are nearly unplayable due to latency issues still. And because, as Hargeet pointed out last night, Hargeet had some great points on Primetime Gaming last night, our phones, our tablets, our TVs even, are now getting chips that are more powerful than some of the consoles just last generation. And that's only going to continue forward. So hardware, even mobile hardware, is still going to be the best place to play these games in the future, even if that becomes the big market, is the handheld market and the mobile market. It's not going to be the cloud. But this is what they're saying, Mav, that the cloud is so important for UK consumers that they're not going to allow Microsoft to get Activision Blizzard, because that catalog of IP would make it impossible for any other competitors. And again, let's set the record straight here. This is a new technology. This requires data centers that cost millions upon millions of dollars. This is not something that just Joe Schmo from his garage can enter and be like, no, I'm going to compete in the cloud market, boys. Let's go. Let's go. Get your bank, get your checkbook out. We're going to write some checks. We're going to go after this cloud gaming market. No, this is a new technology. New technology costs money. That means there's only so many big players can do it. But they're saying that Microsoft, even handing out 10-year deals like candy, are still going to prevent that market from being open and having competition down the road. Mav, I'll let you take over here, brother. Listening to all of this, and we can get into some other facets of it if you want to, with Lena Khan, potentially talking to CMA. We can do all that after the fact. But just overall, give me your feelings when you woke up yesterday morning, and I don't know if you were out busy. I can't remember if you actually saw the news earlier or if you actually walked into it. But give me your overall feeling when you saw it, what you thought of some of the early reasoning that we heard. Again, neither one of us read the 400-page report, and neither one of us are going to do that. But just some of the upfront stuff that they're telling us flat to our faces about this. Does this seem legitimate as far as a decision goes to you? Do you think there's more to it? What were your initial impressions here, brother?
So first off, I would like to officially announce that I have come down from my 100% approval prediction from Microsoft to ABK, because I did say at 100%. So I think there's enough now to take me off of that.
Do you think? Okay,
so.
all right, good.
I think so. Maybe.
Didn't I tell you never to deal in absolutes, Mav? Don't I always tell you that?
I don't give a shit if I'm wrong. I like to have fun here, you know. So somebody had to say 100%. I'll just let me be the fool. Yeah, I'm officially coming down from that. Is it possible to come down from 100% of something? Because if you're 100%, you're like,
yeah,
no, nothing can happen. Period.
Right.
And obviously something did. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm coming down from that, and I don't know what I'm at now. I've been still in a little bit of shock and awe. So how this news was broken to me was Kate, much like when the other news, when they even announced the original acquisition, both of ZeniMax Bethesda and ABK.
I was gonna say, didn't Kate break ZeniMax to you as well?
Kate usually breaks the news to me, and she was like, "So I don't think this day is gonna go how you thought." And I was like, what are you talking about? I had no idea what the hell
Right.
she was talking about.
Right.
And so she said, well, CMA blocked the acquisition. I said, no, they didn't. Like, you're fucking with me. I said, you're joking. No, they did not. And she said, no, they did. And I'm like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't do that. And she was like, yeah, they did. And by the second or third time that she reiterates something, I'm like, she's not fucking with me. You know? So then she showed me, and I was like, okay, she photoshopped this or whatever. No, then I looked at it. Fucking shit. They actually blocked the fucking blocked the acquisition. Like, this is crazy. How can everybody be wrong? Like, this never really happens. You know what I mean? For this many like people close to the situations and
highly paid people.
I know. Like this,
not just Xbox fanboys, as some have liked to act like we just came up with this confidence level. Like, no, these were highly paid analysts who thought this deal was going to go through no problem.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I've never seen something like this.
This wasn't the Marchers
have such universal agreements come back and everybody be so wrong. So that was interesting. And I don't know how that happens. Was this a last minute sway, a last minute change of mind, a last minute
push
meeting maybe between FTC and the UK or I don't know, man. It's like, I think they must have been wishy-washy on it or something. And then ended up going this route, which was a surprising route for everybody. And I think maybe like we thought after the whole PlayStation is irrelevant to the argument anymore, we didn't think there's anything there to hold us up, right? Because the cloud market, really, everybody like that was irrelevant as well to this whole discussion. And that's what they're hinging all this on by, like you said, like looking into their crystal ball of the future, trying to make this market that more important currently and more and larger to the grander scheme of things right now than it is. Discounting the surprisingly actual other cloud companies that want this deal to go through.
Yeah.
Right.
Boosteroid and Nvidia both come out on Twitter publicly and said, can't believe this. This is bad for business. This is bad for us. This is bad for consumers. Yeah.
So you have the competition or the people that are trying to run their cloud services actually coming out saying like, well, this is actually bad for us, and you're just trying to protect us.
We don't get.
We don't want your protection. Like, get away from me. You know. So this is very interesting, and that's why I don't think it holds a lot of credibility. Now, did they make their decision? Yes. Are they? How is this going to go from here? I have fucking no earthly idea. Everything's out the window for me now. Like, once they actually came down with this and decide they want to run with this thing now, I don't know what happens in the future. I know that Microsoft says they're going to appeal. I know that there has been appeals won in the past. I know that the appeals process is completely stupid with the CMA. I also
Luke Steele said it's basically ice skating up a mountain now.
Yeah. So all of these different things weigh into this. There's other analysts out there putting out other ways that Microsoft could potentially bypass this, or saying that the CMA left the door open potentially with certain things and stuff like that. At this point, after all of these guys have told me and everybody else here something that they're supposedly these experts, and what happened, I don't account for anything any of them say anymore whatsoever. I have no idea what's going to happen. And if you were to have me bet on something, at this point, based on Microsoft stocks and what happened there, after this news came down, I would say that maybe that eventually they end up moving on from this thing. I don't know. Like, it's tough to say, because obviously the shareholders were happy, unless that was completely unrelated. But Microsoft stocks shot through the roof after this deal got blocked, where ABKs went down. It was almost
there was a couple different reasons for the Microsoft stock uptick, but yes, this is one of them, obviously.
And it's curious thing. So, I don't really know I know that the executives, I know Satya wants it, I know Brad Smith wants it, I know obviously Phil wants it, and all this kind of things, right? I know that ABK desperately wants it. And I think they may be willing to fight up to a certain point, but I don't know if they end up having a meeting or something down the line and being like, hey, like, let's weigh the risk versus rewards and the benefits and the cons, or do we have a plan B? Phil Spencer already today was saying that like their future of Xbox is not dependent on ABK again, right? And that regardless of
we'll
what
get into
happens
that
here,
article. It was an interesting article. I quickly read it, so it was an interesting article.
So putting faith back into it, I don't know, man. It's so hard to say. I don't understand the world that we're in right now. That
it's based on emotions, not facts.
That the CMA and with potential collusion or involvement with the FTC, even, which is even crazier in my mind, they've banded together to decide to not allow a deal to go through based on a 2% share of the market. Like that,
maybe
and even less if you consider actually the UK, like alone, it's an absolute overreach and abuse of authority and power, in my opinion, that should not be allowed in any kind of way. And for a organization like the CMA to be able to hold this much power over the world of business, and not just in the UK, but in the entire fucking world, it's an alarming thing. It's an alarming thing because you have a small group of people. Are
you sure you didn't watch Primetime last night?
I had to not. This is my.
You're literally you're almost repeating my words last night where I went with this.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
It's like you have this like table, a circular table of people that are talking to each other, dictating what's allowed to go on in the world of business, right?
A business that they know nothing about.
Exactly, and that is a scary thing for me. Period. Regardless of this acquisition or anything else, to have these people say what's allowed for the entire world to operate, especially with an American company buying an American company.
American company that wants to be bought, by the way. So now you're telling a company that you can't sell.
It's like, what world are we living in where this people have so much fucking power that they can decide this is not going to happen? Period. Point blank, we're blocking this. And guess what? You can appeal it. Bring it back to us, and we'll look at it again at our own table. Like, what is this?
That's asking your teacher. That's asking the principal, going to the principal and saying, "My teacher graded my paper wrong. Can you ask her to look at it again?"
Right.
And then if the principal says, "Oh yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, I'll go ask her," and then he hands the paper back over to the same teacher and goes, "Hey, can you redo this? Can you re-review this paper and tell me if you're going to give it a different grade?"
Yeah.
What? What are the odds?
Yeah, it's just it's a crazy thing, and it's like a massive overreach of power. It's an abuse of power. It's abuse of betraying people's interests. What's best for the actual consumer? What's best for the actual companies involved? What's best for the employees? What's best for in this case, the UK consumer? What's best for the other competition and companies involved in the market, in the industry that they're making these rules against, for the sake of making a statement. And that's what this is all about. This is them making a statement about big tech. And that's whatever they were going to grasp onto. This is what they amounted to. And it's the smallest little thread that they're clinging onto here. This is a weak ass, small little thread that they've decided to make their entire judgment based on. And it's not strong. But being that they have no recourse, really, that much anyway, what are they going to do? Like, it's like they're going to say, what are you going to do about it? Like, we got all the power here, man. You know, what you going to do about it, Microsoft? Us little table of dimwits here can tell you what you're allowed to do and not do. So guess what? You can bring it back to us and we'll just look at it again. We'll bring our buddy from across the pond and Lena Khan and come and reinforce her thoughts as well. Like, it's just asinine and stupid. And it's weird that this has invaded our hobby now, affecting things. at the, like I told you before we went live, Pong, like ABK deal doesn't end up closing. For me, it's not a massive deal. It just would have saved me some few bucks in Game Pass. That's why I was most looking forward to it. There's other benefits here that I would have liked. If I would have choose, there's probably 5 other publishers I would have went for if I was Microsoft over ABK that I would like to see them maybe go to if this doesn't happen. But it's still, like, regardless, like, I think it should be allowed. I think it's ridiculous, and we'll see. Will Microsoft keep fighting it? That's the question. They're saying they are right now, and I guess you got to look at what they're saying. And
that's my
hold them
question to
it.
you, Mav. While you're here, that's my question to you, because we brought this up on Boom Show last night, right? And everybody kind of gave their own answer. If you were Microsoft, would you keep fighting? Or even if you're not Microsoft, your own personal feelings on it. Would you rather them drop this and move on? Or would you rather them keep fighting?
There's 2 sides to this. One has bigger implications on business in the entire world. That's the side where you keep fighting. If you let them win here, it's a slippery slope down the road for everybody.
The precedent is set.
The precedent is set. If you let them win here, you have given them the power that they have reached for without any fight back, right? You were saying, yes, what you say goes no matter what. Okay, that's fine. And that's going to dictate what we're allowed to do in the future, no matter what we try and do, and anybody else in the market. And this is, for me, it's more so of a battle against big tech and government than it is a battle of ABK and Microsoft and the CMA, right? Because obviously there's some kind of unilateral collusion or whatever, one mind thoughtness of between the CMA and the FTC, right? They are of one mind here, right? And that is to get this deal blocked, okay? So if you're Microsoft, the grander scheme of things,
yep,
I say you got to fight it.
Yep.
Okay? Because if you don't, the ramifications for that, for what you're intending to be a huge part of your business in the future, is now being challenged by the governments, by these regulators and people overseeing these things. And it's all agenda based, right? So if you are okay with them dictating your future of what you're allowed to do in your business and pushing the technical innovations and all these kind of things, then if you're okay with them dictating you, then you say, okay, I'm going to bow out, right? If you say we have a right to this, we should be allowed to do this, there's no reason not to, and we want to push forward with this because it dictates our future and we don't want these problems with other things we try and do in the future, then you fight it, okay? Then there's the gamer side of me, the like person that loves Xbox and loves Game Pass and loves playing these games and loves the gaming news side and all this kind of stuff. That part of me wants them to move on to other things, right? Because there's other things, like I said, I would rather them have and go after that would be more beneficial to me than ABK. That would be more exciting for me than ABK. I'm sick of the potential close to the vest with news, all these kind of things. I want big shows. I want big news drops. I want more deals. I want them to be more aggressive against Sony and all these other things. I want them to do all this other stuff and not have to rely on ABK for it. And it feels like a lot of their attention has focused towards that, right? Yeah. So in that regard, I want them to move on. But so it's a tricky thing here where I'm kind of conflicted myself, right? Where I would think Microsoft should be allowed to go and what they want to do. I want to root for that because I believe in the technology and where it's going, right? But then the other side of me is like, I want more cool stuff now and I'm sick of this thing, right? And go get Sega, go get fucking something else, you know? So it's tricky, man. It's a great question. And I don't know if I can honestly give you 100% answer. I'm kind of 50-50 on it, and I'm more okay either way for both of those reasons. I'll cheer Microsoft on to fight this bullshit, right? Because I think they have a right to do it, and it's going to benefit all of us if they do, right? Mm-hmm. And then if they decide to move on, I will say, hey, that was probably a good decision as well, if that's where you saw it, depending on what you do from there. right? Because if they do move on from this, then I feel like they need to make it clear how invested they're still going to be with gaming by making these other moves.
And I don't disagree with you. Let me start here. Big government sucks. You've heard me say it before. I will say it again. I never wanted government involved in the video game industry because this is exactly what happens. People who know nothing about the industry, that has either been appointed or voted in, that are supposed to be looking out for the grander scheme of things, don't wind up doing that all the time. I won't say 100% across the board. Again, we don't deal in absolutes. I don't deal in absolutes. There are some good things that happen because of government. There's some good people in government who honestly do look out for the best. But what winds up happening, because human nature being human nature, when you give people this type of power, they then become ideologically agenda driven, right? They become ideologues. So, and it happens a lot. Not everybody, but it happens a lot. And when you have bigger powers at B in government with agendas that don't necessarily have anything to do with our little entertainment hobby here, but those two things get mashed up because the parent company so happens to be Microsoft as big tech goes, then all of a sudden this is a situation you wind up in. As you said, Matt, and as I stated last night on Primetime Gaming, the fact that a group of people in a different system from ours, which is understandable. Again, not the world doesn't revolve around the US and doesn't work like us. But the fact that you have a group of people that really doesn't have any checks and balances to it, that was set up under the impression that it was going to be separate from the government, which it is. Again, let me make that clear. The CMA is not a government regulatory body. They are an individual regulatory body that was set up specifically to not have influence from the government. But they're government adjacent. If you go look at who's on this membership of the CMA, you'll understand what I'm saying. These aren't regular Joes and Janes, okay? These are people with connections. And as we all know, influence happens, agendas happen, phone calls are made, handshakes are done, whispers are happening all the time. This is humans we're dealing with. So this still is going to get wrapped up. And the fact that you can have a group of people wake up one morning and decide that a company that wants to be sold, a company that wants to be bought because of a lot of different reasons, can't do that. And a company that is willing to buy them, and there's only a couple of those companies in the world that are big enough to buy a company like Activision, is not allowed to buy them because the only reason you can come up with is a nascent market that many experts disagree with you on, can even be considered its own market at this point within the video game industry, that is going to be the reason that you stop everything, that you stop business from happening, that you stop progress from happening, that you know better than the majority of the industry you're trying to regulate. When the majority of the industry that you asked, not everybody, of course, but the majority all said, this isn't a problem. There's not going to be any issues here. This isn't going to be the downfall of our industry. This is going to cause problems with competition. In fact, a lot of them said it's going to increase competition if you allow this to go through. All these people within that industry, outside of friends of Microsoft or Activision Blizzard, all said no. You're going to tell all those people that they're wrong and that you're right, even though just a couple months ago you knew diddly squat about the entire video game industry. And you had to be told that your math was wrong because you couldn't even get math correct. And you're going to stop this progress from happening. You're going to potentially kill off a market with one of the biggest innovators in that market being Microsoft in cloud gaming. And again, I'm focused on cloud because that's what they're saying. So I'm taking them at their face value here. But you're going to tell one of the main companies who has pushed cloud technology forward, that has even made it a thing, because again, this costs big money. Not every company can invest in this stuff. Just like we see in VR, not every company can invest in VR. You don't see little mom and pop stores showing up with their new VR devices competing against the big boys because that's not how new technology works. So you're going to tell that company that's pushed this market forward as being anything even potentially down the road in the future that they can't do this because you think the IP that they're going to acquire is somehow going to stifle the competition in that one specific market in the future, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and that you will be a monopoly in the cloud world, even though we can't tell you for sure how big that cloud's going to be. We can't tell you how many people are actually going to be playing on the cloud consistently. We can't tell you any of that because we're just guessing here. You can't do this deal. That is scary. And there's no checks and balances behind it. In the US, Microsoft can sue. In the US, Microsoft can take it through the courts. They can take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. In the UK, no, they get to go to CAT, and complain and say, oh, well, your friends here were irrational. Can you have them relook at it again? And they still have to prove to CAT that there's a reason why the CMA should look at it. And if you go look at the history, it's not a good history for this process. And Luke Steele confirmed it last night. Again, he said it's like ice skating up a mountain at this point for Microsoft.
Well,
so you have
how petty could you be if you're Microsoft, though, if you wanted to make a statement yourself? Because that's what CMA is doing here. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's options for Microsoft. All of them are very complex. All of them have big ramifications. The UK market in general for Microsoft as a whole is a big market.
Yeah.
Again, they've talked about it. Brad Smith already came out and made some veiled threats. Activision Blizzard came out and made some veiled threats that going forward in the future, expansion, that kind of stuff, going to second guess where we move into. It's not going to be the UK. So they've made their veiled threats, but certainly there are options they could do. It'd just be very complex and it could be very expensive and it could cause other problems in other places, which again, if you're Microsoft and you're doing business worldwide for this deal, how far are you willing to go, right? How far are you willing to push it? Because as we've seen, business still happens in the background in other areas, even between competitors, right? That still happens. And so Microsoft has got to be careful here. But this is just big government. This is agenda driven. This is big tech, as Mav said. I believe personally, and again, all of this is our opinions, folks. Some people like to come in to our shows and hear our shows and hear other shows and think that we're speaking as experts or analysts or facts. Mav and I aren't getting paid to do this. This isn't our job. This is just our opinions. But my opinion is that big tech got really far ahead of the governments because governments are very slow to catch up. They don't adapt well, if you haven't noticed. And technology moves extremely fast. And they lost their way. These regulatory bodies allowed Google and Apple to become a duopoly within the mobile space, right? And so now, with the agenda-driven, oh, big tech sucks, we've got to go after big tech, now they're going to take it all the way to the other side and be like, oh, no, we're stopping all big tech. Big tech, bad. We can't have nobody doing nothing big tech. You come to us with a big tech deal, it's done. We're going to fry you. And they are making a statement here. And they're doing it against Microsoft, one of the biggest tech giants in the world. Now, Microsoft has flown on the radar for a very long time. Google, Apple, Meta, they've all taken the spotlight for various reasons with the governments. Microsoft has been playing really cool lately. They have stayed underneath the radar, doing this thing. Now they come along with a $70 billion deal. All of a sudden they're back in the spotlight again, which was going to happen. Then you got Sony screaming from the rooftops, which opens Pandora's box. Now we got the government involved. Now we got Congress people, talking to Japan about the dominance of PlayStation. Now we got all this stuff happening. Meanwhile, the regulatory bodies are going, ha ha ha, we got our big fish, boys and girls. We're going to make a statement. We're going to set a precedent here for all future deals. And it's not everybody, right? But this does feel like one of the first hints at a worldwide regulatory body, which is illegal as we speak. It's against the rules. Lena Khan when she went before Congress, got questioned about her statements about talking that she felt it was a good idea if they worked with the FTC and the EC to align regulatory decisions. And the Congress people were like, wait, Lena, you're not supposed to be doing that. Why are you saying this is a good thing? What does this mean? What are you talking about? Then we get word today. Again, Bobby Kotick said it. We don't have any confirmation yet. We don't know what was said. We don't know anything outside that Lena met with the head of the CMA about 10 days ago. And if you guys remember, the feeling again from the people in the know was that the CMA had changed their stance through this process, that they were becoming more favorable to this deal, that everything that was being read by the experts, quote unquote, and we talked about here, was true and correct, that CMA was getting ready to potentially approve this deal with concessions, right? With some oversight to it. And then all of a sudden, it seems like Microsoft was even caught off guard yet again, because according to some, CMA stopped talking to them about 10 days ago and went dark, which can happen. I mean, again, if you're making a big decision like this, you're not necessarily going to be calling up one of the main people involved and telling them what's going on. Obviously, maybe discussion was over and it was time to make a decision. But it's just funny how all that happened during the same time period when Lena Khan has been questioned about her tactics, about her agenda, and about what she's doing. So again, if this was a push from the FTC, now we're seeing a regulatory worldwide body. And again, it's not every country. When I say worldwide, I'm talking about the big players. As you can see, all these smaller countries, including the Ukraine today, have approved it, but they don't have any influence. Who has the influence? Well, the FTC, the EC, and the CMA have the influence. Like Mav said, they can decide for the world if a business can go forward with a deal, if that business so happens to be dealing worldwide, which of course Microsoft is. But that's the scary part about all this at the end of the day, that the CMA made this decision seemingly without proper cause. And again, if somebody's out there, and I know there's some of you out there, I've talked to some of you behind the scenes, I've had some DMs with some people who say, no, I understand why they made this decision. I can see how they could think that the cloud is going to become a big deal. Yeah, but you can't stop progress. In my opinion, you can't stop progress in a dynamic industry that is still growing, that is still finding new tech and expanding in new ways that we've never seen before. You can't stifle that industry during that growth phase because you think you've read the future and you think that this company's going to do bad. And you think this company's going to kill competition because you can do that with anybody. And that's the precedent being set here. And that's why I hate it even more than I normally do when big government gets involved with regulation. Because you are now setting a precedent that says, oh yeah, anybody can peer into the crystal ball from here on out and say, oh yeah, it doesn't matter the industry. It doesn't matter if we're talking about gaming. It doesn't matter talking about oil. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. But oh yeah, we see this deal down the road as being a problem in this one small area where you could dominate. So yeah, no, we're not doing this. That's going to stifle growth. You're telling Microsoft from here on out that they can't trailblaze because they're too big, because they're too successful in what they've been doing, because they're so good at pushing the cloud forward. You're not allowed to continue to go forward because you might outpace everybody else behind you. That's what trailblazers do. That's what opens up markets. That's what opens up new tech. And to me, that scares me the most right now. And so I say that Microsoft has to fight this. I say that they have to go all out. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear. A lot of people want Microsoft to pull back, change lanes, and all of a sudden become the 360 era all over again. Here's what I'll say to that. The intestinal fortitude of a lot of people is being tested right now. This is a big test for Satya. This is a big test for the board. It's a big test for shareholders. It's a big test for everybody right now. Satya said they're all in on gaming. And everybody's run with that. We've talked about it here. It's fantastic. He opened up the war chest, $70 billion. I think there was an if to Satya's "we're all in on gaming." If it includes Azure servers, if it includes cloud, if it includes 2 billion, 3 billion people, the idea that if they pull out of this deal, and I'm not saying, Mav, that's what you were necessarily suggesting, because you were suggesting some other big purchases, right? But let's say Microsoft pulls out of this deal. Now they feel the regulatory bodies at this time and point in 2023, with the way that the political situation is set up, that they can't even go ahead and make bigger deals, not like $70 billion deals, but like Sega-sized deals. When they are now getting the impression, Mav, that some of these other smaller deals will start getting blocked too. For them to pull back and go to the 360 era, start buying up timed exclusivity, that would be console specific type stuff. That would be Game Pass specific stuff, which is big. But is it big enough for Satya to continue to say we're all in on gaming? Is it big enough for Satya? Is it a big enough vision for Microsoft Corp to continue to support in that manner Xbox not being able to push forward in all the areas that they had planned to? And again, I don't have an answer for that. And I'm not saying it's definitely not a no. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying I think that there was something to Satya when he said we're all in gaming, when he moved Phil to CEO of Microsoft Gaming, when he brought Phil to the big boy table at Microsoft Corp, made Xbox a pillar, was because of the bigger plan, the bigger idea behind it. And if you chop some of that off because the regulatory bodies are not going to allow you to play there, and they're not going to allow you to expand there, then how deep are you willing to go? How far are you going to be in at that point, Satya? If the vision has to be trimmed down because, again, outside of your control, the regulatory bodies are saying, no, you can't make these types of deals, then how far are you willing to go? So I don't necessarily think that if they pull back from this deal, I've never agreed. I've always said I would love to see it, that they're going to take that $70 billion and reinvest in Xbox. They're going to take that $70 billion, and that's why part of the reason why their stock shot up, Mav, is because if they get that $70 billion back, the real interest the shareholders have, or a large majority of the shareholders has now, is AI.
Yeah.
And they think that Microsoft can use part of that $70 billion to go invest in AI. And the shareholders are also worried that this regulatory scrutiny that Microsoft has now gotten might prevent them from moving forward even in an AI field, because the regulatory bodies might go, oh no, no. You got too much into AI. We see AI becoming a big thing and we can't let you control AI, right? So there's some shareholders that are worried about that, but that's why the stock went up, because the shareholders see that money coming back, even minus the $3 billion they have to pay out to Activision Blizzard, and they see other things that Microsoft can do with that money. Go invest elsewhere, right? And some shareholders don't believe in Xbox. Let's be real. Not everybody's going to. So that's why that part of the stock price went up. And I don't think if they pull back from this deal that $70 billion is automatically reinvested into third-party deals, into exclusivity, buying smaller studios, maybe a smaller publisher, maybe a couple small. I don't think that necessarily happens automatically. Again, I don't have the right answer. But I think you have to fight this map on principle alone.
Yeah.
You have to put these regulatory bodies through the ringer, as they've already started doing. Again, the words from Brad Smith today and yesterday, the words from Bobby Kotick. Again, everybody's most hated man. I hate him too, but he's out there talking, and he's talking the big talk. You have to put these governments on notice. You have to put these regulatory bodies on notice, and you have to fight the good fight to show that you are not going to go lay down and let a precedent be set that could potentially affect things for the next 50 years, maybe even beyond, about where some of these big tech companies want to go and about where we are as a future. And so I think you do have to continue to fight it. I would personally do it. I would fight tooth and nail, turn over every stone, even some of the complex, potentially really tough decisions being made, I would have to look at and consider to try to get this deal to go through. So that's where I stand with it. It's not fun. It's not a great conversation. I hate talking. Again, I moved away from my previous Twitter life because it was filled with politics and garbage and nonsense, and that energy is just not something I like.
Yeah.
And here it is now.
Invading the gaming space, right?
Invading the gaming space.
I hate that too,
in a big
man.
way.
At least like this,
sucks.
like, you know, is something that is more one topic based thing where we're hyper focusing on something specific that allows us to see some of the bigger picture, right? So for me, it's I agree with you there. You know, I am, like I said, like it depends on if for me what their plan B would be and how involved they are, right?
Correct.
And it's not like they have a pre-approved list from the CMA about who you can acquire, right?
No.
And that would be horrible even if that existed.
Crapshoot still.
Right. So
yeah, no, it would be. Yeah.
like,
that'd be even more awful.
Here's what we're allowing you to do business. You know,
here's your approved acquisition list, like your approved reading list. These are only the companies you can go after.
So it's not like that exists.
But that's what it feels like.
Right. So the question is like, what do they do from here? And now Phil's interview, or not the interview, but the leaked internal stuff, right, that came out, that showed kind of some of his thoughts and stuff. And you know, they're gonna say they're all in still, which I hope they are. And I still feel like they are because gaming's always been a part of Microsoft, right? It's not just like they just started doing gaming. Gaming's been a part since they've been making involved with Windows and software and all that kind of stuff. You know, some of the first video games were on PC, right? And so there's a deep history there, right? And I don't think they're gonna just like, we're not into gaming anymore. Where it goes into question is like, how much investment do they put into it, right? And all that kind of stuff. And 70 billion is a lot, right? So they are, and I don't think there's any world if ABK goes under that they're going to match that and just all put it back into gaming, right? And because ABK touched on so many different notes that advanced and pushed them forward with what their goals are. And there's not any really, it's hard to think of any other one company that they could acquire that would meet those same goals. And so with that, you look at what do they use that on at that point, or do they not use all of it on anything or whatever? And I would anticipate they would try and still get another publisher or two that would fit within their idea of a scope of what would be allowed, because you can still do a lot of the same things, but you have to do it through multiple avenues as opposed to one big entity at that point. Now, the question is, does the CMA and those regulators see that as the same thing? Right. And that's what they can't know. And so there is question. And do they have the stomach to go through it all over again if they decide to move on? So therefore, like, for that reason, I'm kind of with you about fighting it. I just don't know the best avenues to fight it. Right. Like, so appeals process, like after that, if that comes back, I'm like, nope. What do they do from there?
Right.
You know, so do they try and skate around it somehow with manipulating their business practices in the UK and with ABK and stuff like that? Or how does it involve the UK consumer with Xbox and the whole ecosystem? Like, and those are a lot of questions that could be had. And those were possibilities that were already put out there before by other analysts and stuff about possibilities Microsoft could use if the CMA does block the deal, right? So we'll see what happens. I think that it's not over, right?
No, it's not until they wave the white flags. It's not over.
It is possibly heavy. So the other avenue to that, if it is that long, right?
Yeah.
If it does take years, at that point, are we looking at a point to where they would have potentially closed in other markets and renegotiated their contracts, not include the UK, and done some different business practices and fight it out in the UK for years, right? Or are we looking at still the situation where, well, we're just going to let the CMA dictate and not be able to close the deal for years? Because at that point, it's a completely different animal. You know what I mean? And I don't know if anybody has the... And that's how often do acquisitions happen where they're on a waiting game for years? I don't know. It's an honest question. Other big tech deals or other big acquisitions, does that happen often?
Because they don't have the money. And again, this is new territory, right? Because we haven't seen regulatory bodies come down on acquisitions. Look, Disney was allowed to buy Fox, right?
Yeah.
Amazon closed over the top with MGM, right? So like this is the first big test of the regulatory bodies with a big deal of this. Again, this is the biggest purchase of Microsoft's history. This is huge. So no, we don't really have a whole lot of history because again, that's why the FTC, that's why the Supreme Court ruling that just came down that allows, people to challenge the FTC's internal courts and take it to federal court right away, is because most companies don't have the money to sit around and pay legal fees for years, right, Mav? Of this stature, you have to have bankroll to fight something like this.
Yeah.
Microsoft so happens to be one of the companies that can.
Right, which is why one of the reasons we're so confident. If I was saying that early on, if they want this deal to go through, it will go through eventually because they can do whatever they need to do to make work around it. Do they stay status quo in the UK? Everywhere else, they, do something different. So,
and Luke Steele said Luke Steele said he doesn't believe that's possible to even do any of the workarounds that have been suggested, from the simple fact that they have blocked like Microsoft has to own Activision Blizzard to do anything within the UK with the Activision Blizzard stuff. And the UK has said you can't own Activision Blizzard. So therefore there's nothing they can do about it. Like that's it. That's end of story. Like they can't do workarounds. They would have to pull, like Activision Blizzard would have to pull completely out of the UK from my understanding. Like there could be no business dealings within that country at all, right? And they've got studios, they've got places. It would be that's what I'm saying, it'd be complex. But we're going to find out, I think, because I think Microsoft is going to turn over a stone and see what they can do, what they can pull out here. There's been other talk that maybe the CMA left an opening for Microsoft. Like we're going to find out. It's going to not be days. It's not going to be weeks. We're talking months here, folks, no matter what. We're potentially talking 2024, no matter what, at this point, with the way these dealings work. I want to make this last point clear too, Mav, and I know I talked a lot, but I want to make this last point clear. There's no doom and gloom here. I see a bright future for Xbox. I'm totally excited for Xbox. And I didn't point this out. Mav pointed his side of things out when it came to this. And let me make this clear. Whether Activision Blizzard goes through, it's not a big deal overall to me. Like Mav said, it would save me, Call of Duty game, Diablo, whatever. It would be fine. It would be great from that standpoint. My overall bigger picture of this, why I wanted this deal to go through, and I made this point to Matt behind the scenes before we started the show, and I want to make this clear. The reason why I wanted this Activision Blizzard deal to go through ties into what I was just talking about with Satya being all in on gaming and where Microsoft or where Xbox's place is within Microsoft Corp. This deal would, in my opinion, if this deal went through, would make their position within Microsoft concrete. This deal would solidify everything because I'm looking at the time when Satya leaves, when Phil's gone, right? And there's new leadership involved at Microsoft, which is sooner than later, folks. Again, Satya's already been at his position for a very long time when you look across the board at major CEOs of major companies.
Phil is like...
Phil's beyond.
Yeah.
Phil's expired milk at this point, and I don't mean that literally. I love the dude and I want him to stay for as long as possible. But most people don't stay in those positions for as long as these two already have, right? Especially Phil.
That's why they keep creating him new positions, just so he can keep ascending somewhere without leaving.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Give him something else. So I'm looking at that future, which is closer than we think, where Satya and Phil are gone. Those two have collaborated through this entire process to take Xbox from a sinking ship to where it is now. And I see a huge, bright future for Xbox. I'm excited for, again, not doom and gloom. If Activision Blizzard doesn't go, it doesn't matter. Xbox moves on and plan B kicks in, whatever plan B looks like. That's as, we're guessing here. It's anybody's guess what plan B looks like. But if Satya and Phil both leave, then I want Xbox in a position where the next people that are in charge of those two divisions, one being the head of all of Microsoft, and then one being the Microsoft CEO of gaming, whoever takes those roles, I want both of those people to walk in and look at Xbox and go, they ain't going nowhere. In fact, we got to keep growing them just like Satya and Phil were. We got to keep growing this thing because they are too important to Microsoft Corporation. And I believe that this deal would have solidified that position so that the next two to take over would without a doubt look at Xbox and say that. Without Activision Blizzard, like I said, I think that gets a little in question. Somebody else could come in and completely, even now with 23 studios, even now with Game Pass, even now with how much they are integrated into Azure, I still think that at this point, somebody in Satya's position could come in and look over at gaming and not understand what they were doing or not see the importance of or the vision of where it could go and be like, Microsoft Corp don't need that. We got plenty of other big fish. We're a business to business company mostly. We don't need this consumer facing division. Like, this isn't important. And Xbox could be relegated to potentially back to the redhead stepchild in the room again. That's just tolerated for the time being, with people always looking at it going, can we get rid of it? Is it possible we can get rid of this? So that's where my position is, why I wanted Activision Blizzard to go through the big picture, the future, what I know that Phil and Satya saw down the road in their crystal ball for Xbox, for gaming, and how that was going to integrate into Microsoft Corp as a whole. That's what I wanted to have solidified, and I think this deal would have done that. So I just wanted to make that clear to everybody. That's where I was coming from. No doom and gloom, though. Xbox continues forward. They've already invested a lot. I expect them, even without Activision Blizzard, if they were to walk away, I still think that they would invest in Xbox and still pursue that future, that vision. I just don't know if it would be to the same level as a $70 billion acquisition kind of tells you it's at right now. I don't know if it would be to that same type of proposition from Satya and Phil going forward. It might be smaller bite sizes.
So I got another hypothetical question here. Does this potentially, like, goes into more political stuff, I guess, and in a country I don't understand exactly how their government works. I'm just gonna be honest, right? But you almost seem to have a disagreement potentially between the UK government and the CMA, because the CMA is a third party, right? That was empowered by the government. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
should
maybe
be independent, correct? Yes.
And it seems like they're at this point now. It's possible the UK government doesn't like what the CMA is doing potentially for their country, right?
Sure. Correct.
So there was an update from Windows Central earlier, right? And I saw AJH point this out, so I went and got the article because I remember seeing this. So shout out to AJH. He said, but the update on Windows Central regarding this whole thing was in response to spokesperson for the UK Prime Minister said that Smith's remarks regarding the UK's viability as a tech business hub were wrong and not born of the facts. The spokesperson also said that the UK government would engage Microsoft on the issue, while reiterating that the CMA is an unelected independent body separate from the government. Which is true, right? But why make those statements as the UK government if regardless of what you're suggesting, the business cannot still be allowed because of the organization that has been empowered by the UK government? So regardless of what UK's stance is, the effects are still the same to Microsoft, right?
Right.
So are they potentially throwing out energy from the government side that they want to find a way around the CMA from the UK's perspective? Like, can they do that? I don't know. Like, I have no idea.
I don't think so. Again, Luke Steele made it very clear that the way that this is set up, that they're set up for this reason, so there can be no political pressure, so there can be no political influence, so that the government can't overstep the CMA and change decisions, that they can't do any of that. I think, to your point, that the UK government could help Microsoft in getting creative and making sure every stone is turned over and to make sure that the relationship, because again, Brad Smith came out with some very strong comments about, and Bobby Kotick has, about where the UK stands from a tech standpoint. The UK government wants to have the tech center of the world, one of the tech centers of the world. They had this vision that they wanted tech companies from all over the world to come in and do business within the UK and have their own Silicon Valley within the UK, right? That's what they wanted. And if tech companies, if the word goes out, if the bad mouth goes out, if all these companies see what happens to Microsoft and they decide not to do business there, well, then the UK government's vision is destroyed. So sure, I think that to save face with Microsoft, to save that relationship as much as possible, I think the UK government will try to help as much as they can. Again, I don't know because it's a totally different system. It's foreign to me as well.
And no matter which way you look at that, it's overstepping from one or the other.
Correct.
Because CMA overstepped here, which would, if the UK government ended up reacting to that, they would be overstepping to the CMA's overstep. Why they created the CMA. So it's just like a big overstep of an overstep of an overstep. And so some people are saying, well, two wrongs don't make a right also, you know what I mean? So I get that whole aspect, but like there's a bigger part to this whole thing where I still think and a third-party organization having control over the business of the entire fucking world here, when it comes down to something as so small as a cloud market of video games, is a danger to business as a whole.
Right.
And I think it's potentially, especially uneducated about, obviously, with these issues, especially if you read some of the stuff that they've said, is just not a good thing for consumers, not a good thing for businesses, not a good thing for a lot of people. So what if maybe there can be new recourses put in place for the CMA? And because it sounds like the main issue here for me is the CMA is their own judge and jury, right? Like there's no way, like the FTC,
there's
like
no
if the FTC like says something and Microsoft can go to court or whatever, there's different things.
All the way up to the Supreme
Court. This is like Judge Dredd here in the end. You know what I mean? I
am the law.
Like it's just like what we say goes no matter what. And that's the position they're put in. Yeah, there are some recourse, right? But it sounds like that the recourse that exists currently is not really adequate for situations like this, right? Or in general, because if I say something and somebody says I'm wrong and they ask me to look at it again when I've been so public about it, am I likely to retract my own decision? You know, and that is not very likely for a lot of people. Again, I'm sure there's little nuances and ins and outs to this whole thing, but it just doesn't seem like it's a good process.
It'd be one thing if the process, and this is what we all would love to see, whenever you have, it doesn't matter where it's at. And again, all governments suck. The world as a whole right now sucks in a lot of ways because of the gender-driven policies that are out there. But if everything was fair and square, Matt, and everything was based on the facts that were placed in front of people, and all judgments, and again, this doesn't matter where you're at, but all judgments were made in that manner, and somebody got something wrong, and you could go back to that person. Let me tell you, Mav, I know you well enough that if you came out and said, nope, this is a fact, this is my answer, this is a fact, and I came to you and I said, yeah, but Mav, here, look, it's not actually a fact, and you just read it wrong, you would probably look at that at least and read it and go, oh, you know what? Yeah, I did read that wrong.
Oh,
man.
I do that all the time.
but that's not the case here. This decision, in my opinion, again, these are opinions, folks.
Right.
Again, I'm not speaking from any expert knowledge at all, obviously. But I'm saying, in my opinion, this decision is made on agenda and ideology, right? So if it's agenda and ideology, you can replace those words with feelings and emotions. If it's that, then the chances of me coming to you because you told me something out of emotion and I said, no, Mav, you're wrong. No, your emotion, when you look at that situation again, is still going to be the same. And you'll be like, no, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. That's basically what I believe the CMA is doing here. This is how we feel, right? We feel that this is going to go badly. We feel the facts don't bear that out. And that's why all the analysts who are factually based were like, yeah, no, they got no, this deal is going to go through. They've got, there's going to be remedies. but there's really nothing to stop this deal because the facts said that should happen. But again, that's not what we're dealing with. So yeah, you're absolutely
But
correct.
if you have no
this case,
recourse on your own decisions,
Right.
right,
Right.
then it doesn't matter what the facts are. You can make your own facts.
right, but and that's
know what I
basically
mean?
what you do when you get
Right.
into agenda and ideology. You're making
Yeah,
up your own
exactly.
facts,
Like,
right,
well,
in your
I
head.
say the
Yeah.
facts are this, and I'm going to
Right.
look back at my own
Right.
interpretation of those
because we
and point to
speculate.
that because
Right.
I say that's what it is. So my
Yep.
recourse points to the same information that I put out there, and those are the facts again. Unless they can point to something specific, like as a mathematical error that
Correct.
which they had to backtrack on, right?
Right.
So because that would have gotten them in trouble with the appeals process, probably, when they can actually point to something specifically about a process issue, right?
Correct.
Whereas
Absolutely.
this is
and
about.
that's happened where Cat has done that before.
And now,
and
is
said,
there
"No, you guys
the
are
other thing is I wonder if there's numbers here that they've looked at and pointed to that they've incorrectly looked at mathematically again? Because
Everborn brought that up.
there's some
Everborn brought
questions
that up.
about the market size of cloud gaming in the UK,
Right. And if
and
they're conflating cloud with Game Pass numbers.
and they
right?
are
If they're combined.
right, but Game Pass Ultimate includes the cloud, so
But how many actually users
how many
are
use
using
it?
on
So
Yeah,
that's a question,
on a regular
and that's a
Right.
interpretation thing, I guess, as well, right? So how do you interpret it? And who's to say if they interpreted it correctly or not? And it's an interesting thing, and I feel like the market size should be based on the use,
Yes.
not
Of course.
not people that potentially have access to. I got a fucking PC here that I could go sign up
Right.
for tons of different services and do different
Right.
things. You know what I mean? But I don't choose to, right? You know what I mean?
Correct.
So just because I have the capability to doesn't mean I'm engaging in it. And if it's based on actual consumption or engagement issues and opportunity, then you would
Yeah.
look at how many people are actually using it, because that dictates how big the market size is for that
Right.
type of business.
Right.
So anyway, that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah.
But,
No.
well, it's interesting. There's so many different little things
Right.
here that you can point
That's
to, and Microsoft say, hey, you should look further into that aspect, right? You should look at this. You should do this. But who knows?
They're going to investigate all that.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to investigate all that.
They already
Who knows
have been,
what
I'm
was
sure, you know.
Yeah, and who knows what was brought up? We don't know the specifics of. Again, it seemed like Microsoft overcame the console side of things, but how much of the cloud was brought up? How
Yeah.
much information was requested from Microsoft specifically on the cloud? Did Microsoft have an opportunity to provide numbers? You know, we can say, well, we can all assume because it became a prominent issue that, of course, Microsoft provided correct number or all the numbers to the CMA, et cetera. But when the CMA, again, in not understanding, didn't look at all the numbers or didn't ask for the right numbers that they should have in this process. Again, all of that is, we don't know, but that's what's fascinating and still remains fascinating. And yes, overall, I wish this was done. And I hope that Microsoft at this point, I hope Xbox at this point, Mav, to your other point too, about getting back to more normalcy. I hope at this point, now that we're here, now that everything's out in the open, now that all the cards have been shown across the board, we're going to get EC's decision next month. We know where the FTC stands. They're not going anywhere. We already know all that. So now that all the cards are laid out, Mav, I hope Xbox Phil and the division looks at the attorneys and says, you go handle that nonsense. Go handle that shit how you have to. But we're back open for business. We need to get back to Xbox doing what Xbox does. And we're going to focus on what we've got going on right now. And because all this is already done, they've shown their hand. It's all cloud. You go take care of that. But we're going to start showing games. We're going to start talking about games again. We're going to have a big showcase come June. And we played it your way up until this point. We played it safe. We played it close to the vest. We hid some things. We acted like victims. We tried to make ourselves really small. We're done with that. We need to show our consumers where we're going because the vision is still clear. As he said in this internal talk that he had, our vision is still clear. And it's time we get back to business. Because like I said, you can only hold business for so long. I'm not saying acquisition season is going to be back on, but gaming season definitely should be back on the table, even while this continues to go forward.
Yeah, I hope so, 100%. I got to read a comment too from Calarie because he made a very good point here.
Calarie, let's go.
And if you're looking at, from the CMA's own definitions now of the market size based on Game Pass subscribers, right?
Yep.
Wouldn't he says Netflix has a monopoly in the cloud gaming in that case, because if you just talk about monthly active users who has access to playing games on the cloud, Netflix has way more subscribers than Game Pass, so they would be the sole player almost in the entire cloud gaming sphere if you only base it on monthly active users of the subscription service that gives you the possibility to do that.
And Netflix would have to be worried about this decision and the precedent it sets. If they are going to make an acquisition of any size, they will have to be concerned if this decision holds, because that would come up absolutely.
Yeah, and they're investing more and more into gaming as well.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So if they go make a publisher buy, they're going to have to look at this deal and be like, ooh, wait a minute. We might not be able to pull this one off.
Yeah. We got a couple super chats to get to. They've been hanging out there. You know I got soul. Hit us with a $2 super chat earlier. It says, Brad Smith says, fuck around, find out. UK Prime Minister said, hold up, let's talk. That's fun. PAULIBABBA with a $2 super chat said, MFers act like the deal is a hostile takeover. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's what I said. Like, they're telling a company that wants to be bought that can't be.
No, you can't have a new daddy. You can't.
Nope.
You know,
you're not allowed.
You're not allowed security. You're not allowed jobs. You're not allowed financial security. You're not allowed to.
We didn't even get into the human aspect, which is a whole nother thing. The worst case scenario for ABK is just as bad. Like it goes to a fire sale. If they start getting devs are laid off, all that kind of stuff, that's not even in consideration. And again, I knew the CMA wasn't going to consider that. That human proposition is not going to be considered. And again, you can say, well, Activision is looking pretty good. Bobby Kotick's being pretty confident right now. But Bobby Kotick has also said they got some major issues.
Yeah.
And trimming and all that kind of, their stock price drops further. Trouble. Yeah. It's big trouble, Mav. And that would be the worst case scenario. Yeah, Microsoft could certainly swoop in, as Fuzzy's been saying, on fire sale and get a whole lot of IP and a whole lot of talent for super cheap if that happens. But the human element that will suffer are the little people, which is the devs.
Which is so funny still, but to that side, because you say the human element's not going to be really mentioned.
Yeah.
But like originally when this deal first went down, the first talking point that came out was from Senator Warren, who talked about it's bad for the employees of these companies and stuff like that. And that was quickly, but she was clearly had no fucking clue what she was talking about. And that they quickly moved on from that narrative.
And then Microsoft went out and said, we support unions and we won't stand in their way. And all of a sudden, all the unions, they cut the deal. They talked to the unions, and the biggest union stood up and said, nah, we're good. This is going to be great. Yeah. All that went dead silent.
Yeah. And now there's no like actual concern over the employees for these companies, and what their futures are from the
all chess pieces, Mav. That's all it is, man. It's all a game. It sucks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I hate it. Hate it.
Politics.
Terrible.
Politics.
Absolutely awful.
Pile of dicks.
Anyways, great topic, Mav. We crushed that for a long time. It's been 2.5 hours. Jeez, we're just rolling.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to talk about it really. You know.
No, we haven't. No, like I said, last night was the first time I got to talk about it, and I got to talk a little bit because Boom had such a giant panel. We only got one go around. So it was like, no, I knew this was going to be a fun conversation, even if it's not what we expected to be talking about. Again, we've been dealing with this for so long, and we've had so many discussions on the topic, and we speculated, and we, followed this. We've all learned a ton. I know I've learned a ton from listening to people like Hogue. I've learned a ton about law. I've learned a ton about other countries and how they do things. Like, if you would ask me what the CMA and the CAT did over in the UK last year, I wouldn't have been able to tell you how they handle things. Now I kind of know. Now I've got a baseline knowledge. So it's fascinating. It's going to continue to go on. Again, obviously at this point, if they do fight it, it's not going to be an every week update thing. We could go months without anything happening. So, it's not like we're going to be talking about this consistently, hopefully, because I know people don't enjoy it, but it is still something we're going to talk about because, again, the ramifications, the future of the industry, the future of Xbox really do have a lot to do with this deal. It's going to set the tone in a lot of ways going forward, and that's what Mav and I always talked about, the big picture of what this deal meant to the industry as a whole. So still going to be learning a lot and still going to be talking about it from time to time for sure as things come up. So anyways, I hope you all learned something or at least enjoyed the conversation. Thank you all for being here. We've got over 150 people hanging out in the chat yet again. If you haven't hit that like button, please go ahead and do that. It helps the algorithm. Fun Speculation Nation is growing. It is. It's going huge, and we want to take over the world. We want to be so big that we're going to have our own regulatory body someday that can help make these decisions. That's what
we want to be. We want to be a speculation monopoly.
Right. Exactly. That would be a dream. We're the one and only Fun Speculation.
You can't get any speculation anywhere else. We control. We control everybody's thoughts.
No, we don't want to do that. Anyways, no, thank you all though for being here. Again, if you can, hit the like button. If you have an opportunity, share it out. Let everybody know that we're live. Let's get into some fun topics here, Mav. Unless there was somewhere else you wanted to go with it. If there was, we can.
Wait, there's so much other cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, there is a lot of cool stuff. There is a lot of stuff to talk about. Real quick, we'll touch on it. Earnings came out. I can't believe earnings came out this week because again, it's so funny how news seems like it was weeks ago, but it was just a couple days ago. Earnings came out. Overall, exactly what we expected. In fact, according to Benji's sales, and a lot of people, it was actually better for Xbox. We knew the console sales were going to be down. They were down 30% for hardware. Can't find them anywhere. We've talked about that issue in the past. But overall, gaming revenue declined by 4%, but content and services grew by 3%. So imagine that. With everything going on, with as much as we've talked about, with as much as we still haven't really had big first-party titles drop, Mav, Game Pass, content still growing for Microsoft, which again was a surprise. Part of the reason why their stock went up this week as well was because this was actually better than even Microsoft had predicted. So kind of surprising, man.
I was surprised. I even talked on FSP that, we're expecting Tuesday's financials to not be great and stuff, but like wasn't going to be a surprise because of 2022. And I was excited more for what 2023 had in store anyway. And that I think that Microsoft's going to reap a lot of benefits this year. To my surprise, it wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be either. I knew the console stuff was going to be like it was. And overall revenue was only down a couple percentage points, even with that huge drop in hardware. And then still the subscription revenue and stuff was up, after 2022, like they had last year. It shows that people love Game Pass and people love the Xbox ecosystem. People are
buying things, Mav.
Yeah. People are buying things in the ecosystem, right?
Right.
I made a tweet that, it's funny everybody has been talking so much about like, is Game Pass sustainable? Is Game Pass profitable and all this stuff where it's come to out? Guess what sustained Microsoft's whole gaming last year, or gaming division last year? It was subscriptions and Game Pass, right? It's not just that it's sustainable, it's sustaining the entire division at this point. When you have a 30% drop in hardware, which used to be the most important thing, right? And obviously your overall revenue only drops a little bit because of your increase in revenue still within your subscriptions. Overall, still the second biggest quarter in the gaming history for the company as a whole. After 2022, I expected this to be the worst quarter that they've had in years, and it was not at all. Like, we're going to see this growth continue, especially this year after all these games are dropping and all this excitement. They still got to get stuff figured out hardware-wise. They got to get more stock out there so people can buy the damn consoles. They got to have a regular routine cadence of games, which they're hitting on this year already. They got to have these games hit really well, all this kind of stuff. But it's funny how there was this whole doom and gloom about Hi-Fi Rush from a lot out there. And we kind of tried to put things in perspective, right, on our show on Friday, right? And it comes out, hey, you know what I mean? Like, Xbox is in a fucking fantastic place. If you can have that much decline in hardware sales because of supply shortages and a lack of first-party games, where you didn't have one major big first-party game the entire year last year, and still have an increase in your subscription revenue and your gaming and your revenue from all that content
and services,
then that's the major win for them. And you see Satya out there pushing it, you know. And again, today he even like talked about Forza, you know, with accessibility and stuff. Like Microsoft is very invested and all in on their gaming side still. And it's
they're in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's very great to see that. I expect the reports we get about these quarters we're coming into now to be exceptional once those come out, because we're about to get into like Diablo and Starfield and Forza Motorsport, and you know, Redfall is about to drop and all these things. So it's just Xbox is in a good place, and it could have been. I was expecting way worse than that. You know, I just really was, and I guess you were too, Paul.
Yeah, no, I would have said it would have been down across the board in double digits. Again, the consoles we knew, like you said, we had been talking about it, so I didn't expect to see.
Yeah, remember
we
were talking about that before. And people were like, "Is there a shortage?" Yeah,
right.
There's still
and for a variety of reasons. They're still replacing blades, and they're still sacrificing, and there's some type of shortage going on. We still don't understand because nobody's really cared to explain it. As Microsoft is not that type of company that explains this stuff. They do keep it close to the vest, but at the same time, we could see it. We understood what was happening. We could tell that there was a problem, or that there is an ongoing problem. Now, hopefully, again, we'll see this clear up as we head into the summer with the big games dropping and stuff like that. I hope to see that pick up a little bit, like you just said, Mav. But I want to bring one other point in here while we're on this topic, because you just brought up the Game Pass questions again and the Hi-Fi Rush. Another developer came out this week, Mav. I don't know if you saw this, but actually talked, a new developer, one that we haven't heard from before, and actually talked about how Game Pass has helped again with sales. And this was the Everspace 2 developer. And the Everspace 2 developer, Everspace 2 isn't on consoles yet. It's coming to consoles later this year, actually this summer. I can't wait. I'm excited for Everspace 2, but it did drop into PC Game Pass, Mav. And he had all these slides. He was actually doing, talking about their sales and going through. And this developer is wide open about all the facts and figures, and some notes that they put out there was higher priced early access actually attracts more engaged players. Wish lists don't convert like they used to, and Steam seasonal sales are effing dead. But then he brought an actual slide map that showed, he said, Game Pass PC was good and didn't affect sales. In fact, they were higher. This aligns with what Microsoft has said in the past, but people want to tell you it isn't true. This was from Dave at Reboot, at Dave Oshry on Twitter. He put this out there, and this the developer actually put up a whole slide about after it hit PC Game Pass, what happened with sales, and you could see the numbers. And he talked about the engagement being consistent after that point as well. So once again, we got another developer out here for all the people that want to say Game Pass eats up sales. Obviously, we know in some cases it does affect sales. We know in some cases, of course, people are going to try a game on Game Pass, not buy it for whatever reason, whether the game isn't what they expected, doesn't turn out to be as good as everybody thought, whatever the case. There's a variety of different reasons that happens. But there is this whole group of developers out there who continue to say exactly what Phil talked about, that Game Pass gets you engagement, and that engagement does turn into sales for a lot of games or for a lot of content, DLC, etc. And that's exactly what we're seeing here with the Everspace 2. So good to see that. Can't wait for Everspace 2 to drop later this year on console. I'm going to be playing it for sure. So that was some good news to add in there as well. Let's continue to go through tidbits here, Mav, unless you got something else you want to add to the quarter earnings talk.
No. I still question. I see Nick saying there's not a shortage. I don't like.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's how you define shortage. Right. I don't see them in stores yet.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Like that's the thing.
As soon as I see them in stores consistently, and we're talking about Series X's, then I will say, okay, now
they have Series S's. I have yet to ever, honestly, it being a store where I have seen a Series X on a shelf
available.
It's still to this day. I have not seen one in a box in a store. I've seen PS5s all over the place. I remember when we had the conversation with Forte, he talked about they were still selling out all the PS5s they got at Christmas. They got hundreds of them.
And they weren't getting shipments of Series X's, or
and they hadn't
small.
they hadn't gotten hardly any. Like if they had, as a trickle. It's a thing. There's way more PlayStations out there available to buy than there are Series X. Now you can go online and go to different retailers and eventually find one. Last time I looked,
but even Amazon, up until a couple months ago, Amazon, you had to be on a waiting list.
Yeah,
so they finally got rid of that. Yeah,
like 2 weeks ago, though, I looked on Amazon and there was a waiting list.
It was back to waiting list status.
Yeah, I think they just drop it whenever they have some pop up. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but it's still an issue. But when there's an abundant supply in the stores, then you have sales tick up because people see it. Oh, I've been wanting one of those. It's not the people that are always looking online, like trying to wait for the next one to come in and searching every day and stuff like that. It's the people that are out like, oh, new game came out. Oh, I'm finally gonna splurge and get that next gen console. Supply issues in stock at retailers make a difference. They really do.
They still do to this day. And again, it's all perspective how you look at it. I will just say that they're not as abundantly available as PS5s are.
Yeah,
Xbox is not producing as many as Sony is currently speaking. That's just my perspective. Again, because if they did, and let's say that even you want to say, well, yeah, there's not as much demand for an Xbox as there is for a PS5, then we would still see them on the shelves everywhere because that stock would be going out to brick and mortar. So to me, there's still something going on there. But anyways, doesn't matter at the end of the day. It'll all be proven out. End of the year numbers, like Mav was talking about, after the first party games hit this year, Forza, Starfield, all that good stuff hits. Then we'll see going into next year's fiscal years, when the quarters transfer over and we get the end of the year numbers for holiday season. That's when we'll really start seeing what should be some big growth there. So I definitely expect that as well. Man, Nintendo in the news. We don't get to touch on Nintendo very often. We get a Mav Nintendo rant from time to time when it comes up. The worst kept secret in the industry, or one of the worst kept secrets in the industry, is Nintendo is working on a new piece of hardware. Okay? Worst kept secret in history. The Switch is very long in its tooth. We all know this. I've got a prediction that it's coming out next spring with new Metroid. Okay? That was my prediction. My prediction is still on. That's my big prediction. One of my 20-point predictions, I think, was our point system. So Nintendo is coming back to Gamescom for the first time in 4 years, man. And then we also got word of a little job listing. Nintendo European Research Division, NERD for short. That's real, by the way. Nintendo European Research Division is hiring a game tech engineer in its R&D branch to help with high performance implementation in current and next generation Nintendo platforms. All right, Mav. 2 to 2 together. 4 years since they've shown up at Gamescom.
Yep.
Got confirmation they're hiring for next generation platform. What do you think, brother? Are we going to get the announcement I've been thinking about, that you've guessed as well is going to happen at some point? Is Nintendo coming back to Gamescom to finally announce the next iteration of the Switch? Or maybe they're actually going to shock and awe us all and say, hey, we're going to compete with PlayStation and Xbox. We're coming back with a console, Mav. High-end, high-performance console market we're coming back to. What do you think, brother? Is this the same?
Pong, I hope you're right. I hope this speculation is one that we get correct. You know, we've been wrong on March. We've wrong about the CMA. Wrong about a lot of things.
We've been wrong a lot with our opinions. Weird.
Sometimes. No, we've
been right about
we're right a lot of stuff that we don't get credit for.
Yeah.
But this is one I desperately want to be true. You know why? I want to be excited about a fucking Nintendo game again. Just one. I want to be excited for a game to come out from Nintendo and be able to look forward to it, not knowing I'm not going to be playing it on a piece of shit. So
we are over 2 hours in already.
I'm
Just wanna let
sorry.
you know.
I'll stop. Okay. So I hope so. I hope so, man, because if they can just get to a decent level of fidelity, you know, like give me a consistent 1440 60, you know what I mean, on that stuff, you know. That's even asking a lot for Series X these days. Who am I kidding? But no, for the Nintendo style games, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not have these things be hamstrung by potato physics and graphics capabilities and stuff, and really see what these things are capable of. God, I hope so. You make a good point though. Gamescom.
Yeah.
It's been a while, you know.
4 years.
It's been a while. And what's after Gamescom? You have Tokyo Game Show shortly after that. If they were to start a train of hype and marketing for it, it would be a great time. Leading up to a March release potentially, which is fit in line at times with when they've done console launches before.
Yep.
So I like the energy pong. I gotta say, there was a video from Austin Evans about potential like the tech that could be used for like the Switch 2 dev kits and stuff like that. You see all these other portable things coming out now as well that are higher
we're gonna
end
talk about one
and stuff.
Asus. Yep.
So I think it's a good time for them to get in before a lot of people start buying some of these other things, right? I think maybe they're starting to see that of like, okay, like, you know, this handheld market's really taken off with all these other devices. People are entering the store. We need to go ahead and get our next level of hardware out there. And yeah, exactly. I just hope they bring along the games with it, right? That are taking advantage of it, you know? And also it needs to be backwards compatible with the Switch.
Whew, games. You're asking for a lot. Whoa. Calm down.
No, that should be an expectation. If the Switch,
Nav, they can't resell them.
I own a lot of digital Switch games. If I can't play my digital Switch games on a Switch 2 or whatever they come out with next, Nintendo is fucking dead to me. I'm gonna tell you that now.
You heard it here first, folks. We're gonna hold them to this one.
I've been stockpiling these digital games that I tried to play on that piece of shit device. I would get so excited and buy them, and I would play it like, wow, this thing sucks.
FOMO.
And I've been like, you know what? I'll get to this like in 8 years when they eventually release a new fucking piece of hardware. Yeah, I have these games I really want to play, and I hope that they have a piece of hardware that can play them and maybe give us some like up-res or upscaling of the resolution a little bit, or like make it to where I can read the fucking words on the screen because they're not too blurry. Things like that, you know, I would be excited. They gotta have that. They gotta. So please, yes, be true. It's time. It's time for Nintendo to step into the last generation. See what I did there?
About right.
Sorry, but it's about right. It's time.
It's about right.
It's time for Nintendo to finally step into the last generation and give us this next level. And I hope it is. Honestly, I like the functionality of the Switch, right? For me, the Switch 1 was a little bit more of a handheld that was dockable. I want the Switch 2 to be more console level features, because if you look at it, the Wii U had more console features than the Wii does. People say I'm crazy for that. Wii U had backwards compatibility. It had a way more diverse storefront online. It had way more online functionality and features. It had the whole Miiverse thing. It had all this stuff, right? The Switch at launch, the menu system, the dashboard, and that was fucking like 5 squares. You just go, that was it, right? Everything sucked. It didn't even have an Ethernet port in it. And then people are like, hey, this is a console. No, it wasn't a console. It was a handheld where you could jack that shit in and blow up a blurry ass image on your big screen TV. Okay, that's what it was. Let's take this portable fucking image and blow it up on this big screen TV. That's what the Switch was. And hey, great. They make great games. I love Nintendo games. I've been a passionate Nintendo gamer my entire life. So I want to be able to play those on a screen that's bigger and the shit not look like ass. That's all I'm asking for. And if the Switch 2 gives me that, I'm day one on it. They got to bring it out. It's time. It's long overdue. The shit should have been out 4 years ago. It should have had it 4 years fucking ago, Pong Soul. I would have been there day one then. I'll be there day one when it happens, and I'll be loving it. But please make the games that I didn't get to enjoy on the last piece of shit playable on this good device. That's
done?
It. Yeah.
You done? Okay. All right. Love it. Thanks for holding back some. Listen, I'm excited just to see what Nintendo brings. Again, whether or not I have interest in Nintendo anymore, it doesn't matter to me. I still want to see them do stuff. I believe it's going to be a Switch 2. I don't think they're going to go back to console. I do hope the dock this time is actually a viable option. I hope the dock can actually do HD, and I hope that they look at the 4K televisions that are now everywhere and say, hey, our games actually have to look good on these things. Not just, oh, people don't care about it. They all play it in handheld mode anyways. Because if I was ever to invest in one of these things, that would be the main reason why I would have it docked a lot to play on my TV if I was ever to get one. So I hope they do go that route. I hope they take this seriously. Again, I'm just excited because, again, it's still Nintendo. I respect their place. I respect their place in history when it comes to this industry. This industry would not be what it is right now without Nintendo. And I respect their hustle. And so I want to see how they're going to hustle their fans. And Mav's hopes and dreams of backwards compatibility, I give less than a 50% chance. So
in this day and age, do you think people will accept it?
Yeah.
What if it's
Nintendo fans?
What if it's called the Switch 2 and it's unplayable with Switch games?
That's fine. It's just Nintendo.
But think about it from the handheld perspective. You could play the DS era. You had DS, 2DS, 3DS. You can play all those things on all of them, right?
But Mav, as a Nintendo fan, I'm excited because we're going to get upgraded versions of all those games I already bought. And I can rebuy them again, and they're going to be better.
I don't want to buy them again. I want to play the ones I have, and they'll be better. I want the...
Telling you, I hope so too, because it's the right thing to do, and they should do it that way, right? But when I look at Nintendo, do I honestly think that they will do that? No, I don't. I think they will resell you all their biggest titles as an upgraded version, and you will be happy as a Nintendo fan to repurchase those games as an investment, as some Nintendo fans like to put. So, hey, whatever. Again, I hope they do. I hope they do make it backwards compatible. It is the right thing to do, and they should. So, and it should actually technically, hopefully, run those backwards compatible games even better, not just the same as they have been. Hopefully, that's also a part of that. So, no, I'm just excited to see. Again, Nintendo coming back to Gamescom. I wish they would come back to, I know we don't have E3 anymore. I wanted Sony, I wanted Nintendo to come back during E3 time. I wanted all the shows kind of lined up together again. When we were going to have E3, I wanted them all back because I think that was the best of times when all those three companies were going head to head. Even if Nintendo doesn't technically compete in the high performance new market that's been created by Sony and the regulatory bodies, it doesn't matter. I still like to see them go toe to toe. So I hope they do come back to Gamescom. I hope this is a blast. I hope they do announce this new hardware. I hope they have a big game, as Nintendo always does, whether it's a new Mario game or Metroid finally. Whatever the case may be, they've already got, Tears of the Kingdom is already coming out. I'm sure they'll have a, whatever they're going to call it, Switch 2 Pro version of Tears of the Kingdom. I don't care. I hope they bring the big guns, and I hope they show it off, and I hope, people get excited, because people will. So that's a big part of the industries too. That hype spreads, even if it's not something you necessarily are going to buy day one or play. It still spreads throughout the industry when Nintendo shows up, when PlayStation shows up, when Xbox shows up. It's a big deal. So I want Nintendo to come back. I'm glad to hear this, and I'm excited for it, 100%. Speaking of handhelds, Mav, you have the Steam Deck, sir.
I don't anymore. I sold it.
You sold the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I sold
it. Okay. Okay. Funny, bro. Did you get your money back at least?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you got your money back. Okay. All right. Asus, ROG, Ally, ROG, whatever, Ally, whatever you want to call it. Asus, this thing came out. They didn't talk about price points. They showed off. It's got the new AMD Z1 chipsets in them. One is a regular Z1, the low end, and then one's a Z1 Extreme. These things are supposed to be amazing, man. We've already seen some people get reviews of them now. Lord Cognito put out a great review of his. Absolutely loved it. He's pre-ordering. Well, we got this little rumor. I think it started yesterday, Mav, on top of all the, ABK stuff. Little insider put out a price point for the Extreme, which is the high-end model. People were expecting close to $1,000 for this thing, Mav, with the specs that are coming along with it. They were expecting $1,000. $699, Mav. $699. 512 gigs SSD, 16 gigs of RAM for $51 more than the 512 gig Steam Deck. Bro, if they do this, is this the new hotness? Like, is this like everybody I've seen that is into these handhelds at all? Because again, this thing runs Windows 11.
Right.
So it's a Game Pass machine out the gate, no special stuff that you have to do. It's going to be a Game Pass handheld right out the gate for you. Ease of use. Everybody's talking about that. It's phenomenal. The screen is phenomenal, over 11 inches. Like, this thing is the next hot deal. What do you think, Matt? $699. If they do this, this is going to be a killer product, I think.
So let me go in first why I sold the Steam Deck, right?
Yep.
Amazing as a handheld gaming device. The image quality is great. All these different games from Steam are amazing. But one of the main reasons I wanted it was to, put Game Pass on it and all that kind of stuff, right? Which I did. I did the workaround stuff. But it still wasn't as good for the cloud, for Game Pass, and playing those games as my phone.
Okay.
But it mainly, maybe it's just where it was in the house, that the cloud didn't operate as well on the Steam Deck as it did on my phone with the Kishi, right?
Right.
So at that point, I found myself playing the Kishi more and playing Game Pass on the cloud than I was playing games on my Steam Deck, because I'm not like super technically advanced and all that stuff. So I have to. It's a nightmare for me to even try and do this shit. So trying to get Windows native on it and install all those games on the Steam Deck was a no-go for me, right? You're on mute, Pong.
I said, I just realized I said 11-inch screen. No,
yeah,
7-inch screen.
That's
sorry.
That's like iPad size. I was like,
no, it just popped up, clicked in my head. I'm like, did I say 11-inch screen? No, 11. I think the size of it is about a little over 11 inches. But no, 7-inch screen. 120 hertz. So yeah.
So for me, I was just using my phone way more, and I like the Steam Deck. If you're really invested in the Steam library and stuff like that, amazing, right? Me, I'm an Xbox consumer first and foremost. I would be more likely to play something like this a lot more, being able to install those games natively from my library, right? Yep. Also play on the cloud is already built in, already there, ready to go. All this kind of stuff as well, right? So I'm more interested in now going forward, knowing what I've learned. I think the Steam device, the Steam Deck, is a great controller. That a lot of things great about it, very solid. But because of the consumer that I am and the ecosystem that I'm in, it's not the best device for me. Sure. Something like this screams out to me because it's more powerful than the Steam Deck, right? It is already more natively built for me with the kind of things that I want, right? My library, which is already massive, I would get to access on there as well, right? Plus, you can also do your whole remote play, all that kind of stuff still on it if you want to. And I think that's what I would rather play. So I'm intrigued by it. I got to see in the future if the budget allows for something like that again. Is there an inclination on release dates? Did they say that yet?
No, I don't think that we've gotten I think it's this year at some point, but I don't know about the release date. So and I should give credit to the person who posted the $6.99 price point, if it turns out to be true. And again, some people are now thinking that it is. It's Snoopy Tech on Twitter.
Yeah, and that's
So
supposed
let
to
me
be the
run-
higher end one. There's supposed to be a lower end
That's
one
the
as
high
well.
one. Yes,
Right.
correct. Yes, with the regular Z1 chip.
Did they
So for all
talk
you
about
tech heads out,
storage size yet? Do we know anything about that?
512
Okay.
gigs. So yep, with it's a M.2 SSD. Let me give you all the techs for the tech heads out there. 7-inch FHD 120 hertz AMD Z1 Extreme, 16 gigs LPDDR5 AMD Radeon Navi 3 graphics, which is their new updated chipset. 512 gigs of the M.2 SSD, Dolby Atmos surround sound. Play almost any game that runs on Windows, Steam, GOG, Xbox, Game Pass, GeForce Now, Android, and more. Straight out the gate, it does have the offset controller sticks as well for you folks who love the offset. Play games in co-op mode on the same devices using 2 Xbox controllers, and even connect to your TV to play on the big screen. You can even connect the ROG XG mobile dock, a keyboard, mouse, monitor, etc. to enjoy all your favorite AAA games at even higher resolutions and frame rates. Play your games how you want to play them. So, yeah, pretty big deal. If it comes in at the $6.99 price point, that's a huge deal. Like I said, people were expecting close to 1,000. Some people even said it would be 1,000. And there's people out here questioning how they're going to do this because the Steam Deck, right, is offset because of the Steam store, right? So they make, right?
Yeah.
Uncle Gabe and Valve are making money off their own store when people play on the Steam Deck. Asus doesn't have that. So people are wondering how they're going to come in at this price point. Obviously, they want to be highly competitive with Steam Deck, but people are wondering how much of a loss they're going to take on this thing, because there's people saying this is hundreds of dollars in loss if they come out at $6.99. So
well, maybe
they're
they
obviously
have
in
a
it to win.
deal with somebody or something. You know,
Maybe.
I don't know. Like it's but that's
I know
like
Xbox has partnered with them again too. So Xbox is promoting this. I know that at the showing of this device, they had an Xbox representative there talking about Game Pass, because again, this is going to be native. No, again, for me, Mav, if I was in the market, if I came into a lot of money and all of a sudden I had my PC and everything else, but I had extra money for a handheld like this, this is definitely more up my alley than the Steam Deck was, because I will have to do less techie stuff to it to get it to do what I want to up front. And so for me, the Game Pass stuff out the gate is huge. Like that's fantastic. The Windows 11, hey, that's awesome. So this thing looks like it's going to be competitive, and more people are entering this handheld market like you were talking about, Mav, which is cool to see. Again, competition is good, folks. Always. So can't wait to see what people start getting this. There's a lot of people, like I said, I saw on Twitter locking in, especially after the COG video. COG did a great job. Sure, with Lord Cognito did a great video on his, and it just had an absolute great time with it.
So the chat's saying May 11th, maybe. Frizzle.
May 11th.
May 11th.
Okay.
I
didn't think it was that soon, but yeah, if that's out there, great.
Jasper says pros. Is it? I always say Asus, but apparently people call it Asus. I don't know.
I say Asus.
I say Asus. I've always said Asus. I'll just say Asus. Yeah. So
Asus.
Jasper says pros. Asus is more open, some more choices for games, and can do more. But if Switch goes with NVIDIA again, you will get DLSS, so the Switch 2 will have a longer life cycle. Yeah, that's true. With these devices, you always wonder like how long they're going to be. You know what I mean? Right. Whereas something like a Nintendo is, you know, they're even if it's really outdated and shitty, they're still going to support it for several years and not release a new device.
Versus consoles. It's just like PC versus console, right? Dedicated
Yep.
hardware versus something that does a lot of different things, right? So that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, Frizzle says Asus. Yeah, and a lot of people say Asus. I say Asus. I don't know.
I've always said Asus.
Me too. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's one of those words, and you can say it any way you want to.
Potato, Asus, Asus.
Yep. Everybody knows what you're saying, whether you say Asus. I rarely hear people say Asus, and when I hear it, I'm like, what?
Yeah, it sounds. It's like it just is a funny word, you know.
Right. It is.
Can I get
that way,
I got an Asus monitor.
Doesn't make any sense. All right. Anyways, let's get into a couple more quick hitters here, Matt, before we get everybody out of here tonight, because we did have some more cool game news. CD Projekt Red, Mav, came out and made a post today. They are going to talk Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty this June. At Summer Games Fest Play Days, we will have hands-on sessions for press and content creators. We're also planning plenty of hands-on opportunities for a community at a later date, so stay tuned. Phantom Liberty, of course, being the big, and I'm saying that because everybody that's talked about it said this is CD Projekt Red's biggest expansion. It's going to be the only one that we are now getting for Cyberpunk 2077.
Is this the one that has multiplayer?
No, multiplayer is still canceled. Multiplayer is still canceled.
I had to throw that out there. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I wanted multiplayer Cyberpunk really bad, actually.
Yeah.
But we are getting Phantom Liberty, which looks absolutely incredible. Cyberpunk continues a fantastic comeback, stays in everybody's mind. They just came out with the Overdrive, with the path ray tracing, which people on 4090s like Kay Asante and Luke Steele are absolutely killing me, showing pictures and videos. It looks absolutely gorgeous. But Phantom Liberty is coming everywhere. It's going to be the one big and only expansion for Cyberpunk 2077. I can't wait, Matt, to jump back in. Of course, everybody knows that Cyberpunk is one of my favorite games of all time now. And I can't wait to jump back into the DLC. But the good news is they said they're going to talk about it in June. So it is still coming this year by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I still need to finish the main game. I have like 50 games that I'm like backlogged on, and I don't know what to do about it. And I just got 2 more. And Cyberpunk is one I thought I would, but I was like, I'm gonna wait for the update, and then I never like went back and finished it.
You should go back and
I know
you will be amazed after the update.
It is amazing. When I don't know. I just need to do it.
Yeah, I know.
I did launch it after the update came out just to see it, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is cool. All right, I'm going to go play this instead, you know? But it's for whatever reason, it's just a game I haven't dove back into.
That's fine. I can't talk, so I don't finish 90% of my games, so whatever.
Yeah.
I can't talk on it. It's just Cyberpunk being one of my goats. I just a little biased. I want you to go finish it. I spent $300 in that game.
I really should. But with Starfield's coming out.
It's fine. Yeah, I know Starfield's coming out. That's going to be another time. Diablo 4 is going to be still being played.
And I just got Jedi Survivor and Dead Island, and really, whenever I sit down and turn on Xbox, all I want to play is the show. So
that's how it sometimes works, man.
It is like sometimes a game's got its hooks in you. That's just what you want to play, you know. And like, regardless of anything else out there right now, it's just scratching that itch, you know.
Speaking of another game, we got to get back to Mav, Age 2, Definitive Edition. We got to get back to it. Why I bring that up is because this week, everybody, all you Age 2 Definitive Edition fans, people were asking, what about the original Age of Empires? Are you guys going to redo that? What are you guys going to do? Guess what? Instead, they're just going to drop the original Age of Empires basically right into Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition as an expansion. They announced the return of Rome in a new teaser trailer, new expansion, which will allow challenge friends with the original 16 Age of Empires civilizations plus one brand new Return of Rome exclusive civilization, the Lakviat. And we still don't have a release date on that, but it's obviously coming soon. They're promoting it big time. Mav, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. We got Age of Empires 4 coming out supposedly later this year. Listen, they are taking that one of their greatest franchises in history, and I don't care if it's niche, it's still one of the greatest franchises in Microsoft's history, Age of Empires, and just retooling it, bringing all this to console and PC. It's amazing, man, that we're seeing this, a 20-year-old game just getting bombarded with updates, getting bombarded with new expansions. They're taking the old Age and throwing it in here. How excited are you, Matt, for more Age of Empires, man?
Still one of my favorite things I've played this year is Age of Empires 2, an old-ass game on console. And I freaking love it. And this is a game I will go back to time and time again for years. Did they say how much the expansion is?
Nope, no price and no date as of yet. So
Okay.
I don't care.
Between
Like I said, I'm
this and
supporting.
Age 4
Yep.
this year, it's an awesome year. Company Heroes 3,
Yep.
lots of stuff, man. I don't know how I'm going to play and afford every fucking game I want this year. Like we
tough,
talked
man.
earlier before we went live about Aliens Dark Descent.
Yeah.
We talked about you talking about Age of Wonders. I want to get that and try it out. There's a other game that's just dropping, Alien Stranded Dawn. That looks awesome. I want to check it out.
Yep.
There's a million things. It's like the real commodity here is time.
Right.
You know, and what's going to get the time? And there's so much that I want to spend time in, but there's only so much time that exists in the world that we can spend on gaming. So it's
even
gonna
if you can afford them all, the time factor is insane.
Yeah.
Again, even if you were rich because your parents left you a ton of money and you had nothing but all the time in the world to sit at home and do nothing but play video games, you still would be hard pressed with the amount of games coming out this year to get through them and to be able to play them in a meaningful manner.
Diablo
Literally.
4 is gonna eat up so much of my time. You know,
let's talk about that. Diablo 4, they came out and announced this week, Mav. Diablo 4, they finally gave us an answer, roughly, of what it will take to get to level 100, which again is the cap. For the average player, they said 150 hours, Mav, just to get to 100. And that's not the end of the game, right? That's just your level cap. So
way bigger than Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Way bigger than Diablo 3.
The season, the season passes, 80 hours to complete the season pass. So yeah, expect Diablo 4 if you're planning on being one of those max. And again, that's one character to a level 100. Most people, hardcore Diablo guys and gals, they do all the characters, max them out. That's a lot.
How many is there? Five? Was it 4 classes? Five. There's 5 classes. That's 700.
5 classes. Sorry,
50 hours. Just to max it, just to get max level.
Yeah.
Then there's all the other stuff where you can really max out your character.
Yeah. There's end games. You're still going to be working on your Paragon. You're still going to be grinding for that ultimate gear. Just because you're level 100 doesn't mean shit in Diablo 4.
Yeah.
This is going to be an insane game, but yeah, I had to throw that in there. They're announcing that this week. Aliens Dark Descent, you brought it up, Mav. Everybody, if you're into squad tactical base games, if you're into Aliens, please go check out the trailer that they just dropped this week. They also put up pre-orders June 20th. It is coming. Again, Diablo 4 is going to be in full effect, but I want this game so bad, Mav.
Yeah.
This latest trailer, if you guys aren't into top-down tactics, I don't know what to tell you. You're probably not going to like it. Boom already said he's out because it's got permadeath in it. Whatever. I'm all about this game.
Sounds like XCOM Aliens. You know?
Yes, XCOM Aliens with squad. So you're not controlling individuals. You're controlling the whole squad, right? But again, this last trailer, absolutely fantastic. Gives you part of the story. The acting actually sounds really good. And guess what, folks? I went and checked out the pre-order. It's not a full-price game. $40, $39.99. They don't have any premium deluxe package as of right now. I don't know if that's going to be in the future. You get a couple things, I think, for pre-ordering, but $39.99 for Aliens Dark Descent. Music to my ears. Even if it's a shorter game, I don't care. Everything that I'm seeing, everything that I'm hearing from IGN's updates, and again, we all know about IGN, but listen, they did some great updates on Aliens Dark Descent. The guy who played it is a tactics player. He absolutely loved what he was playing. He said it was great. He wanted to play more. And he said they nailed the sound effects. They took them straight from the movies, just like we've seen in other Aliens games, which is one of the most important things. Fireteam Elite, exactly. It sounds like you're in the movie. Everything is hitting right for this game. So Aliens Dark Descent, go check out that trailer. It's going to be freaking fantastic. Grounded, man, Grounded continues its Sea of Thieves like trajectory.
Yeah.
More people every day I see on Twitter discovering Grounded. Again, it's not my thing. I've played around with it. It's very, very cool. It's very awesome. It's just not something I'm put time into it. But Grounded is on this Sea of Thieves trajectory. Like, they learned a lot from Sea of Thieves, Mav. And I think that Xbox in particular is using that with Grounded. Grounded, shout out to Clobriel who threw out the tweet. Grounded is getting the super duper update, which dropped this week already. If you guys are Grounded players, you probably already know. Wasps and the Wasp Queen. So you're getting a new boss, you're getting new enemies, 100 plus new items to craft, base coziness feature, super duper machine, handy nat, additional custom game options, new achievements, Steam Deck verified support. Obsidian's got a winner on its hands. Would you say, Mav?
I would say so. As a little game that came from a small team as this little side project that they were happy that Microsoft allowed them to do, has turned into a monster. And it's going to continue to grow. This is one of those games. It's only going to get bigger because the more content they keep adding to it over time is going to just appeal to more people, right? And people, new gamers will discover it. It's crazy, man. They have like Microsoft has Minecraft, they have Sea of Thieves, and they have Grounded as massive, popular, ongoing live service style games, right?
Correct.
And that's only going to expand, I think, in the future to other games as well. And when we talked about that revenue and content price still going up, it's from things like this. They have these ecosystems that within themselves that are massive, and it's cool. I think the next one that's going to be like this is going to be State of Decay 3.
Yep, certainly a possibility for sure.
Forza Motorsport, I think, will be successful. But Forza Horizon's also successful, but like as far as this tech on a life of its own type game, could be State of Decay 3. Could be the next one.
Yep, I think you're on the right track. I would have said Diablo 4 had the ABK deal going through.
Yeah. I'm talking about Microsoft first party here.
Yeah, Microsoft
right
first party. Yeah, exactly. Right now, no. State of Decay 3 definitely has a big chance. Who knows? Starfield could actually pull it off in certain ways as well. If they introduce modding to the consoles, it doesn't have to be the same degree as PC. Obviously, it never will be. But if they make the modding big on console, you could see Starfield take on life as its own as well, with random expansions from the user-created content constantly, which we've seen in their other games. So, but yeah,
not to mention, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no.
Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, and what this next ZeniMax Online game that's going to come out, whatever it is.
We didn't even throw those in there.
Those are how much money do those games fucking make? You know what I mean? Yeah. They're a lot because they're ongoing things. You know what I mean? You talk about just
one of the biggest console MMOs of all time.
Yeah, it's not just Game Pass subscriptions funding all this stuff. People just don't think about that.
One of the last things I got here, Mav, tell me if you got anything else, is, hey, all you mech fans, I don't know if you guys saw it today. Obviously, we knew Armored Core 6 was on its way. Rumors have been swirling. Obviously, we got the teaser trailer from Software a couple months ago. There was rumors that they were trying to hit this year. People didn't know if that was going to be a possibility. I pulled an old article from about 6.5 years ago when they confirmed that they actually were working on it. So this game has been in production for a very long time, and it seems like the stars are aligning, Mav. And From Software, coming off the heels of Elden Ring, are going to introduce a lot of people just due to their popularity now, because where From was years and years ago when the last Armored Core dropped to now is two completely different places. From Software is now a household name, and people will buy games that are even not Dark Souls games or Elden Ring games just because From Software has made them, which gives Armored Core 6 a chance to go from a very niche. Go look up the sales for Armored Core 5. Steel and I did this on a Living Split Screen episode. Like, the guesstimates are like 250,000 copies were sold of Armored Core 5. We're talking about a niche genre in mechs. We're talking about even more niche when you introduce From Software's difficulty levels, which they do have in this game, in Armored Core. It is not an easy mech arcadey style game. This is a tough Souls-like style mech game. But they're going to introduce Armored Core 6 to a lot of people this year, Mav, because it is coming in August. And they put out a gameplay trailer today. Now, again, it's been in production for about six and a half years, somewhere in that neighborhood that we are aware of. It is cross-gen, which is mildly disappointing to me, but I understand it because it's been in development for so damn long that, of course, it's going to be cross-gen. You can tell it's a cross-gen game. It's not going to boggle your mind with some brand new mech graphics, but it looks like a From Software Armored Core game. It looks up to date because we haven't seen Armored Core in a long ass time. Man, the gameplay looked fast. It looked furious. It looked hard. It looked like big giant boss battles, which they confirmed. Customization of your mech, everything that us mech lovers want. What do you think of the gameplay trailer today, bro?
It looks pretty damn awesome, I have to say. I was really impressed, and I'm not a huge Armored Core guy, but I am looking forward to this one. Again, another game I got to look forward to buy. I will confess, though, it's not, if I was to choose a mech game I want From Software to come back and make, it's not the one I would pick.
Of course.
I want them to bring back Chrome Hounds. I don't know if Sega owns the rights to it or From Software owns the rights. That was my shit on the 360. I absolutely loved it. I'm more like the big, slow, hunking mech type player, tactical style, line up your shots and all that kind of stuff. Mech Assault I really liked as well, which is kind of like in between, I would say. Yep. Armored Core, which was cool. Like I also did like some of these mech games from the back of the day, like Zone of the Enders, almost like we slide around and you have your jets and all that kind of stuff. And Armored Core is one that I've dabbled in and have liked in the past, but I never got super into it. This might be the first one though. But bring back Chrome Hounds. Come on. I know it was a failure, but I will say the reviewers fucked you back then, From Software, because they didn't understand that games could be multiplayer focused. They expected all games to have campaign. Remember that? Remember all the reviews? Like Shadowrun, first-person shooter, got killed for this, but by Phasma, and also Chrome Hounds got killed for this in the reviews. And they got like 60s and 70s and stuff because like, well, the campaign was too short. There really wasn't much. The campaign was a tutorial to learn how to play the damn multiplayer. It was like, that's what they were, right? There was.
This is going to be campaign heavy. Armored Core is campaign heavy.
Yes, Armored Core is. But I want Chrome Hounds. And I want that big conquest mode, Chrome Hound style customization machine that it was. That was amazing. And the reviewers fucked them back in the day from the success that they could have had, I think. But anyway, looks Armored Core looked awesome, man.
Yep. Go check it out. This is again dropping in August, like Mav said, another game we didn't really know at the beginning of the year that we were going to get. Again, From Software is on a whole new level of popularity. There are going to be people for the first time ever buying a mech game just because it's From Software. This is going to be very, very interesting. Because if you're not ready, and I know From isn't going to change how Armored Core is at its base level, this is going to be a big one. And listen, for all you big giant Armored Core fans like Steel Rain has already got this on its Game of the Year list, folks. And I'm hyped for this as well. I went and picked up the 360 versions of 4 and 5 and started playing again a while back. Armored Core is a big deal for those of us that do fondly remember it. This is going to be a big... They've got a collector's edition for $250, okay, which comes with a mech statue. Looks amazing. Looks awesome. Comes with the game, all the good stuff. It's pretty cool. They got a premium edition, Mav. I don't know if you saw this. They got a premium edition, which comes with a mech encased in its own launch pad. Okay, so now you got the launch pad with the mech inside of it. This thing goes for $450.
Wow. I didn't see it.
You do get the game.
Badass.
You do get the game. It's badass, bro. You should see it. Like, it's badass. Like, if I had expendable cash, this would be one of the collector's items I'd be getting because this thing does look, it's detailed as hell. Love the look of it. So just want to give you guys a heads up there. Pre-orders have gone live on this stuff. August 25th is the exact date for Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. Go check out that trailer. Fantastic stuff from Software. Can't believe we're getting it again. Never thought it would come back. Again, Armored Core 5 literally like sold like 250,000 copies. Like it's
Yeah.
stupid how niche it was. Anyways, Mav, I've got nothing else unless you got something else on your list. I
No,
don't have anything else.
I'm gonna say that Redfall comes out next week.
Yep.
People are saying that there's rumblings out there.
The
that's
new
pretty
trailer,
awesome.
the new trailer is fantastic. New trailer is fantastic. Great marketing. Again, I'm still hyped for the game. Just waiting on the 60 frames patch.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be sooner than later. Again, the boxes, if you didn't catch us in the beginning of the show, Jez posted a picture. The boxes were printed with 60 frames listed on the back of the Xbox version. So if that's the case, that means this decision was made very late in the process to drop the 60 frames mode. So hopefully that means the patch will be sooner than later, because I can't wait to jump into it. I seriously can. Again, I love Arcane. You guys know this. I was one of the few people out here in the beginning, from the beginning, saying, this isn't Left 4 Dead. This is Arcane. This game's going to be bigger than any of us think. It's going to be different. It's going to have Arcane mechanics. It all turned out to be real, at least from my perspective. So I'm hyped for this game. I'm just waiting.
I saw they released the PC specs today for the game. I'm curious. I'm going to have to ask Jasper later if he looks at that and can tell me if my PC could potentially run it at 60 frames.
The recommended was 2080. So the minimum was a 1080, I think, but the recommended, which usually the recommended is where you can do 60 frames at 1080 or 1440. That's how I'm not a PC dude, but this is from reading a lot of games and their minimum and their recommended. So I think the 2080 is I don't know. You might not be able to pull 60 frames.
Yeah, it says the recommended is 8 gigabytes of VRAM, AMD Ryzen 7 2700X. I don't even know, like, honestly, what my PC has in it for that. An AMD 5700 or an NVIDIA RTX 2080 or an Intel Arc. System RAM is 16 gigs.
What was the ultimate specs? Was it a
Ultra specs is a 3080 or 6800. And 10 gigabytes of VRAM and 32 gigabytes of system RAM.
Yep.
I have a AMD RX 590. The minimum specs say AMD RX 580.
Okay, so you're right at the minimum.
I'm a little bit above, like the 590 to 580. It would be, I'm guessing, the equivalent to like a 2080 to 2090, maybe. I don't know, or 3080 to 30. I don't know. Like
probably run.
Like I mean, like as far as like the numbers go, I don't know.
Right, the numbers go.
I'm guessing the RX 590 is a little bit better than the 580.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm curious.
Yep. Jasper's probably going to answer you in the chat. Last thing real quick too. Go check out the Mav and I already mentioned it, but Company Heroes 3, we all know it's coming out, but they put out a new console trailer as well with new console gameplay in it. Freaking again, if you're looking for RTSs, love World War II, doesn't get much better than Company Heroes, and man, is it looking good on the console. Let me tell you, those tanks are rolling on in. I love to see it. I can't wait. Great next week. Great shout out for Redfall, Mav, because the newest trailer did drop this week. Thought the marketing was very well done for it. The trailer was fantastic and an awesome song to go with it. I don't know specifically what the song was, but it reminded me of the Deathloop stuff that we got leading up to Deathloop's launch. Very stylized, showed off the game much better than what we've seen in some of the stuff leading up to this point. Did a nice job showing off a lot of the gameplay. Again, I'm hyped for it. As soon as that 60 frames patch is dropping, I'm in. I can't wait to play it. And if nobody else is playing it, I'll be playing it single player because I love Arcane single player games. I don't care. So either way, I'll be playing that as soon as that happens. But looking forward to a lot of stuff. As you guys could tell, again, the ABK stuff dominated the week when it happened. But overall, a lot of cool gaming news coming out. And again, if you weren't here for the beginning, the Street Fighter 6 demo is out for Xbox. So go check that out if you're interested in Street Fighter. That's available as well. But otherwise, Mav, a hell of a show, 3.5 hours. We knew this one was going to be a little bit longer due to the ABK talk. We definitely killed that topic, I thought. Once again, with our opinions, our thoughts and our perspective on what's happening. We're not going to know. We're gonna learn as everybody else does as we go forward here. There's a lot left to do. It's not over with. It's not doom and gloom for Xbox either way. Is the synopsis of what Mav and I talked about. Still a lot of bright future, even if it doesn't go through. But I think they are going to fight this, and maybe they will find a way to get this thing done. But we will find that out in the future, potentially next year. But hopefully business as usual coming up for Xbox. Hopefully they get out of this quietness and really get back to selling us on all the games coming out, because we do have a lot to enjoy. So great show. Thank you all for being here. PM and the PM, Pong and Mav and the PM. Mav, my good brother, another fantastic Thursday night catching up with you, man, and just sitting back and shooting the shit and having an audience while we talk about our favorite hobby. Thanks for another great show, brother. Caitlin, shout out to you again for the thumbnail. If you guys noticed the thumbnail, I was fooling around with a little AI artistry today. And so I had Caitlin put Phil's face on there and the CMA's identifier, their name on a demon versus an angel. But yeah, I was fooling around with AI images. So having a good time with that, actually. It's pretty interesting and pretty cool. Mav, thanks for another great show, brother. Where can everybody find you, including Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night? What's going down?
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow night, Pong. You know, gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk a lot about, I'm sure, some of this CMA stuff again tomorrow with the family. The whole panel, a lot of the panel should be here anyway tomorrow night. So looking forward to that on Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern time. This was our 70th episode, Pong.
Nice. Can't believe it, man.
70, yeah. So we'll have more awesome shows on Monday. Hopefully, again, it's been a while since we had a great gaming news Monday. Lots of cool little things, but nothing like, wow, that's crazy. You know, so I hope next Monday for FSP we have some of that. That our show on Monday is 10 p.m. Eastern time, and then every week here Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time as well. And next week is my I might have a stream on Wednesday as well. So I'm turning 40 years old next week, Pong.
That's right. We're in May. We got the May birthdays, man. I'm in May too. I'm at the end. You were at the beginning. So, and then we got Caitlin in there somewhere too, don't we?
She's in June.
She's in June. That's right. That's right. She's after.
She's a junior. Yeah.
She's a junior. Yep.
I'll be 40. Be old man.
We'll have fun. Hey, welcome to the club, brother. It ain't all that bad. It ain't all that bad. Let's go.
Yeah. So maybe next week I'll do a stream on Wednesday and just have some fun playing games and shooting the shit or whatever. But yeah, man. What else you got? What do you got going?
You know the usual. So again, thank you everybody for being here and joining us. And if you're listening to us in the future, all love and respect to you. You know where to find me, Xbox and Twitter, Pong Soul. You know the drill there. Tomorrow night, I'll be on Xbox Ultimate with the fam. We might have to put a time limiter on Psycho because I'm sure he is hot to trot to talk about this stuff. But you know what? We're going to have a great time tomorrow night. We're going to laugh a lot, but we are going to talk a lot of topics and have a good time. And it's always great to hear other people's perspectives. So join us tomorrow night, Xbox Ultimate. Saturday mornings, you know the drill. It's living split screen. Still on mission 1K. Over 800 now. We are on our way. We want to hit that 1K. So please tell a friend, bring a friend. Join us every morning. Tab us with the Gaming Circle podcast if you have to. Our brothers in arms over there, of course, shout out to Kay Asante and Everborn. They put on a great show at the same time Steele and I do. Steele and I just go for a little bit longer. So even if you don't want to tab it, stop on over after the Gaming Circle podcast if you check those guys out first. But listen, we're going to have a great show, 3+ hours, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, every Saturday morning, living split screen. And then, of course, big one Saturday night. Listen up. Shop podcast. Again, PTK Blam's audience is growing, which is fantastic. But PTK is celebrating episode 300 Saturday night. Gonna be a huge show. Again, the man's been doing this for so long. One of the best in the business at it. So PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, myself, and we are going to be joined for at least a portion of the show by Lord Cognito, who is stopping by, one of the OGs, paying his respects. We might have some other people rolling on through too for episode 300. So come on in, stop by, stay a while, say hi, It's going to be a fun show, episode 300, celebrate with PTK Blam. Again, that's PTK Blam's channel, the Shop Podcast, every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, episode 300 going down on Saturday night. Next week, it starts all over again. Xbox Factor Podcast every Tuesday. Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, with some of the greatest conversations and panels you will ever see. And then, of course, right back here next Thursday night for PM in the PM, Paul and Mav in the PM. We will be talking games for sure next week because there's going to be a lot of games dropping as we get into May. I can't believe I'm even saying that we're in May. We're going to talk about Mav's birthday. We're going to talk about how he's old now, how he can't make fun of me anymore.
Will all the speculation die when I turn 40? I'll become a bitter old man.
Yes. You will become a nostalgia-holic just like me. You will say everything sucks now. Yada, yada, yada. So we're going to have a great show next Thursday, but I'll be talking Age of Wonders 4. I'm sure Mav will have some talk. We'll probably be seeing a lot of gameplay on Redfall. We'll have our opinions on just what we've seen if neither one of us have touched it yet. Listen, it's going to be a great time next week. So get out there. It's the golden age of gaming, people. Have a fantastic Friday. Have a stellar start to your weekend. I'm going to talk to you all real soon tomorrow night on Xbox Ultimate. But get out there, play what you love what you play. No matter what you want, there is something for you right now already this year that has dropped, that is fresh, that is ready to play. I hope you're all having a great time as much as we are. And we're going to talk to you all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, brother.
Yeah, peace out, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great night. Laters.